Hello, comrades. My name is Mikhail. Michael. Yes, Michael. And like so many of you out there, I am true American who like audio pleasures such as podcasts. License to Watch podcast is strong totalitarian podcast which issues license for quality film. It also revoke license for bad film and send them to gulag, but we don't speak of this, and neither shall you. I recently learned of License to Watch exclusive content Patreon page. American internet website is www.patreon.com/L2W. For contributing $1 American per month, you gain instant access to bonus content of great quality. The brave leaders of License to Watch, such as the Matt, the Colin, and the Tall Man Harris, discuss films of immeasurable quality, such as Cliffhanger, Star Trek Generations, Twister, and coming real soon, the early 90s post-Cold War era sporting film, Rudy. It's great American comedy because of all the trying and the succeeding, so pull out your fat pig American wallets and submit $1 into your computer disk slots right now. Do this by entering www.patreon.com/L2W into your keyboards at this time. Become a comrade by becoming a patron today. Oh, and don't forget to throw away your ballots in the trash. They mean nothing! After the critical and financial disappointment of The Final Frontier, producer Harve Bennett decided not to follow up with the current cast, but rather start anew with a prequel film about how Kirk, Spock, and the rest of the crew first met. When his idea was eventually rejected, Bennett saw himself out. Instead, a story was crafted around an idea that Leonard Nimoy had, which was, what if the wall comes down in outer space? Of course, referring to the fall of the Berlin Wall, the breakup of the USSR, and the end of the Cold War, which had all just happened prior to the making of this film. This sixth film was to serve as the swan song for the original cast, who had no plans to return after this film. Casting director Mary Jo Slater tried to load the film up with as many notable stars of the time as the production could afford. She even cast her own son, Christian Slater, in a cameo role in an attempt to attract younger viewers. Acting legend Christopher Plummer was cast as the main villain, Chang, a Klingon hell-bent on thwarting the peace treaty at the center of the film's plot. Kim Cattrall joins the cast as Valeris, Spock's Vulcan protege turned villain. This role was originally supposed to be Saavik, the Vulcan from Star Trek 2 through 4, but Gene Roddenberry protested, citing that he didn't think fans would like the idea of a beloved character being a traitor. Roddenberry had many problems with the script as well, as it deals with Kirk and many other characters being portrayed as prejudice, when, according to Roddenberry, racism and bigotry would be long forgotten by this time in society. Despite his displeasure, many of Roddenberry's qualms were ignored. Sadly, Gene Roddenberry did not live long enough to see the release of this film. He died of heart failure on October 24, 1991, just 2 days after watching a near-finished cut. However, it has been said that after that screening, Roddenberry approved of this film. Critics and fans alike were much kinder to this film than they were The Final Frontier. The Cold War allegory and whodunit plotline elevated the film, while more humor and adventure were also added to much acclaim. The shooting of the final scene of the movie was saved for last. According to Shatner's memoir, quote, "Emotions ran high as the last shots of the cast were captured, but by the time we finished the last scene, which extended longer than we expected, there was a sense of irritation. We raised a glass of champagne, but everybody was actually a little antsy." End quote. Are we just as antsy to end this series? Join me, Matt McGregor, along with Harris McCabe and Colin Shaw, as we boldly go for the last time where no podcast has gone before. Let's head for the second star to the right and straight on till morning, as we look into what makes this final original Star Trek film rule so hard. Get ready for 1991's Nicholas Meyer joint, the sixth and final film of the original Star Trek series of films, Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. This is a show about franchises, movie franchises. You're listening to License to Watch.
Why in the world was this movie made?
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is License to Watch. We are talking about Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, the greatest movie ever made by Klingons. Joining me for the show is regular old fools, Harris McCabe, Colin Shaw.
Yeah, me.
What up?
And joining us once again, our first returning guest ever, coming back for the season finale once again. We got Chandler Smidt. What's up?
I'm your closer.
You're the closer.
I was the first girl. I'm your closer. I'm your first return. You guys let me use this really fancy microphone. It's too much, you guys. It's too much.
But we do know that you've been calling our other guests and talking shit, and it's kind of messed up.
Well,
it's causing a lot of problems on the back end. Harris has been called many a name. He's easily offended.
I can handle it.
they have to know
their
place, okay? I earned this. Well, I have nothing. We're in a pandemic. Let me have this.
The fans have spoken, and we have answered their cries of your return.
Not just because you need the win. It's because the people demanded it.
My dad, you mean?
The hordes of slaves on Rurapente were screaming at the top of their lungs for you to return and save them.
And I said, let my people
misery.
go.
This is the only podcast available at Rurapente. The Klingons wanted it that way.
We are basically North Korea.
They said, please give us Mark Maron. And they said, no, silence. And they whipped them.
This is supposed to be punishment.
Then they do that laugh.
Womp womp.
That Klingon laugh.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, the drunk one too.
Yeah.
Chandler, what is your emotional connection? Tell us a story of an undiscovered country in your life. How did you find this movie? Is this your first time seeing it? Do you have some sort of connection to this film that would impress us? Go.
Oh, impress you. Well, this is my first time watching this, but my emotional connection to Star Trek in general is my dad. I never watched the original series. I'll say my dad's favorite was Star Trek Next Gen. And then, on to Janeway. We love our Voyager. And it was that thing of like, it would come on. My dad's like, we got to watch it. And I was like, no, I don't want to know. I'm 8. I don't care. What? Cry. And then, he put it on. And I was like, Dad, it's pretty good. So I really got into the J.J. Abrams movies. I'll say that, like, I'm into them. I love that. I have that emotional connection. But Undiscovered Country, I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to talk about it. I thought that was some clean storytelling, some great jokes. But mostly it was just exciting because I got to talk to my dad about it, and I called him, and we got to chat. It's like we could have our own podcast about this movie, the amount of time we spent talking about it. So I'm excited.
This is actually a big promotion for you and your dad's podcast.
Exactly.
I hope you saved some of your A material for us here.
And he's here, Dad. Come on.
My tricky dad and me.
Actually, we're taking it over. If you guys could leave the chat. Thank you.
What about me?
Yeah.
You can
Colin stays. He's in both podcasts.
I've made this comparison before, but I feel like this is much like Scientology. I feel like it's important to indoctrinate people young into Star Trek. I feel like if you miss your window, you never quite feel the same attachment to it. And I don't know, Matt, I don't think you were a very young Star Trek fan. I wasn't. So I don't think I can ever have that same emotional resonance. I think I see it with a clearer, more objective head than, say, Colin.
I still think it's better than, like, Scientology. I think some of the other...
No, it's exactly the same as Scientology. It starts with an S, okay?
It doesn't
it's about science. They're both about science.
Sci-fi, Scientology.
It doesn't require an actual religion, and you are free to think it's stupid and still like it.
That's true.
Agreed. Any kind of fandom, I think you can think it's stupid and still like it.
Yeah, I don't know about Scientology though. I think they send a guy to your house and he's
they
like,
insist that you take it seriously.
You don't have a choice in the matter.
Yeah.
Hi,
Is it true that Star Trek
or some form of something within it is considered an official religion at this point. I feel like I read something like a long time ago that some nerd fought for it and like won, and now you can be like a Vulcan or whatever, and that's your
I feel
religion.
like maybe something to do with Klingon, maybe Klingon being like an actual language, or something
It's
you
just
could
grunting.
study.
And
Hey man, if you watched
it's
it with
just
the
like clearing
subtitles
your
on,
throat.
it's not just grunting.
I know what.
Yeah, just clear your throat and say a bunch of vowels, and it'll, we'll throw some
Just a
subtitles
bunch,
on it.
or consonants. It's like consonant, 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 consonant. The next word is all vowels.
There's a
It's,
lot of apostrophes
crazy.
in the Klingon
If
language.
only if only it was that simple. Our throat anatomy isn't capable of truly speaking Klingon. I think that's a
It's
fact.
true. It's true. We're not advanced
Yeah.
enough.
I know what Klingon heaven is called. Stovokor.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Chuck E. Cheese.
Whoa.
Stovokor is a pretty hard ass heaven sound. Like
Yeah.
that's heaven, and you don't even want to know what hell's called. You would if I pronounced hell out loud in Klingon, you would shit yourself. That's like just what happens every time.
In
This pizza and the singing rat appease me.
Klingon hell has like a ship of the damned that like takes you over there, like on a river or an ocean or something like that. I forgot the rest of it, but
River
something like
Styx?
that.
Yeah,
But
real
there's-
original Klingons.
There's I think there's a episode of Star Trek Voyager called Ship of the Damned, and B'Elanna Torres somehow goes to the Ship of the Damned because she's like communicating with her dead mother or something. I don't know.
Blah blah blah. Hercules, fire,
So-
hair. James, what's his face? Woods. He's a problem.
I know you guys. I know you guys hate this, but my favorite is when Worf goes to like study at a monastery, and he finds Klingon Jesus, and then they realize that it's just a clone of like the DNA they thought was Klingon Jesus. So he becomes like a like, you know how the Queen of England is like a monarch, but she has no real power. He becomes like the show emperor.
figurehead?
Yeah, he becomes the figurehead emperor of the Klingon Empire when the Chancellor still has the power. It's a good episode.
I feel
Well,
like
speaking of Worf, he's in this movie.
Just-
I was delighted.
Yeah, it's not
Looking
actually
like
Worf.
Keenan Thompson from SNL.
that's
Didn't he look
exactly what I thought. I thought it looked exactly like Keenan Thompson. I was like, oh my god.
Like
he would
somehow
be,
we've entered an SNL sketch
Yeah, and I was
called
already.
Klingon Defense.
I had already earlier in the thing when the Klingons first board the Enterprise, they all look pretty good. They all look kind of different. They got different things going on with their foreheads. And then the last two guys, I kind of thought looked a little thrown together and like generic. And I was like, these guys look like they just walked in from an SNL sketch. So when I saw Michael Dorn looking just like Keenan Thompson, I was like, oh my god, it is an SNL sketch.
honestly, if I was in the SNL writers' room, I'd be pitching Keenan Thompson as a Klingon all the time.
yeah,
I don't think
and
you
they'd
need
be-
more.
And they'd be
It
like,
must have been done. Right?
and you know
I
what?
was just going to say that. It had to have been done.
You know what the response, Colin, would be? It would be like, I don't know how many times we have to call security to get this guy out of our writer's room.
I know.
He busts
knew
in
you
every
would say
week
that.
and makes the same suggestion.
I knew you would say that. Like call it like get the police to intervene yet again.
And then Worf would defend you.
Yeah.
As played by Keenan Thompson.
Objection.
So this movie was made in the great year of 1991. Is that right?
Correct.
Solid year.
Yeah, we've reached the 90s, baby. We're stretching across 3 decades here. I mean, if you count the show, 4 decades now.
And this one actually made money.
Did it?
Yay.
So I didn't really do too much research on this movie this time, so feel free to
It was a
engage.
$27 million budget, made 96, almost 97 at the box office. So it definitely did well, unlike some of the Next Generation titles we've seen recently that there's a lot of questions. But this one,
And they knew going into this one that it was going to be everyone's last movie, and they actually followed through, which is pretty rare, even though the previous movie was called The Final Frontier.
yeah. Well, another smart thing they did is bring back the director of the greatest Star Trek original series movie, Nicholas Meyer, who did Wrath of Khan. And they were seeing if he could work that Nicholas Meyer Star Trek magic again.
After he refused to come back for the third one and probably the others.
He probably read the scripts.
Yeah.
Dang.
Burn.
He was like, if I can't write Shakespeare into this,
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
fucking doing it.
I need 30 to 36 Shakespeare quotes minimum before I even look at it.
I need Christopher Plummer to say to be or not to be
Like
3,000
Talk
times.
about.
Yeah.
Talk back.
Yeah. I just want him rattling off Shakespeare quotes. They don't even have to make sense. That's going to be most of his dialogue is just Shakespeare quotes.
If he doesn't sound like a freshman NYU student, get him out.
Yep.
The high point of his character will be him spinning in a chair.
Yeah. Yeah.
The eye patch.
There's a real mystery at how he rose to the rank of general or whatever, despite being like an English major, and then and then getting a PhD in like obscure literary studies.
Yeah,
From Earth.
From Earth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
another species literature.
Yeah.
A specific branch of another species literature.
They're like, well, usually we promote from our war college, but I don't know. This guy's got all these quotes. I mean, let loose the dogs of war. I'm in.
Like in Klingon, everything is part of the army. Like they're all about being warriors. So whenever you are choosing to be an English major, you're like English major / warrior guy.
Yeah, the English program, which is actually one of the weaker ones, still only has like a 75% survival rate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my god.
We have a lot to cover on this movie, so I think we should bang out the plot summary right now.
Oh my God.
So that we.
Well, this will be
Yeah,
interesting
are you prepared?
since I just finished the movie, as you know, so I have not rehearsed this or even thought about it a single time. So
That's great.
this is going to be probably my worst one yet. We'll see.
Or best. Hmm?
Or best. Well, the other ones have been pretty solid. But
All right, let's see. Are you ready?
yeah, I'm ready.
On your mark, get set, go.
Okay, so we've got Captain Sulu. He's on the Excelsior, which is a giant-ass spaceship that looks like a chubby Enterprise. And he's out exploring, and they get hit with a shockwave, and they discover that this planet called Praxis, which is not some kind of pharmaceutical, it's a Klingon moon, but it's been destroyed, and it's basically leading to the destruction of the Klingon homeworld. Its atmosphere is going to be done in like 50 years or something. I don't know. So anyways, the Klingons decide they need to sue for peace, and they go to the Federation, and they're like, we just need somebody to like help us out here. We're gonna have to move, and we don't want to be in a war. So they send Captain Kirk. And Captain Kirk's like, what the fuck? They killed my son, and I hate them, right? But they're like, no, you're the right guy for the job. If because they're not gonna fuck with you, so go and negotiate peace. So he goes there, and they have this little rendezvous with this Klingon ship. And they meet this guy played by a guy who was a normal guy in another movie, but now he's a Klingon. And he's like the head of the Klingon Empire. And he's like negotiating. Oh my God, it's already a minute in.
Oh, no.
And it's going good. It's going to get worse. And Christopher Plummer's there, and he's kind of nasty. And they have dinner and drinks together. And then afterwards, the Klingons go back to their ship. And Kirk is like coming around to this Klingon idea. And all of a sudden, the Enterprise starts firing torpedoes at him. And then assassins go onto the Klingon ship and murder a bunch of people. Kirk's like, what the fuck happened? We don't know. And then the Christopher Plummer's like, we're going to kill you for assassinating our whatever. But instead, Kirk and McCoy beam aboard and try to save the head of the Klingons. And for that, they are arrested, and they're sent to this prison planet that's in the snow. Meanwhile, Spock knows that they couldn't have fired their torpedoes, so he's trying to get to the bottom of who the traitor is aboard the Enterprise. And they're trying to preserve peace. Meanwhile, Kirk and McCoy escape from the prison planet, and Spock finds out the traitor is his first mate person, this chick, Kim Cattrall from Sex and the City. And they all go back to Earth, and they thwart the assassination attempt, and everyone ends up living happily ever after. I left a lot out there.
Excelsior!
Excelsior!
Did you even say anything about the prison at all?
I said they were on a prison planet that's in the snow.
All right.
Which, I mean, that's the biggest thing you need to know.
That's all J.J. Abrams needed, and then he cut it. So,
Yeah.
So that's it. The intricate plot of this film.
It's got a lot. It's got a lot going on. I sort of got stalled at the beginning with just the stupid setup of the thing.
did you even mention his eye patch, or do I just keep thinking about Christopher Plummer's eye patch?
Oh my God! Yeah, no, I definitely should have thrown that into the summary. 'Cause
Yeah,
if there's a more important plot point than Christopher Plummer having an eye patch, I don't know what it is. Huge ball drop on my part.
You mentioned that Wagner was in another movie as a human, and now he's a Klingon now. And I don't feel that's
David Warner.
Warner. Sorry, I don't feel that is nearly as relevant as the eye patch.
I know.
I really.
But that's what happens when I don't rehearse or practice at all. Is that I just think of something interesting that I realize as I'm saying it, and then I'm like, oh wait, that guy was a guy in a different movie. What is up with that? Why don't they ever But
Well,
I
you
love
know
when they do that. I love the fuck it attitude. Sometimes they're just
fuck
like,
it, we like
okay,
this guy.
Sure.
well, you know
He's
what
on
they
our
say,
team.
Harris. Praxis makes perfect.
that's not bad. That's not bad. I endorse that one. That's got my stamp of approval.
I like the pharmaceutical bit. I was thinking definitely like a Viagra type
Yep.
sitch.
Yeah.
Or one of those things that
side effects include anal leakage,
Yeah.
Constipation,
Kirk definitely has ED.
insomnia, narcolepsy.
I think Kirk does not. I think he might have
At this
EDS
point.
and he's constantly hard. But I was like, bitch,
He's
on
got
the
the male.
prison planet?
He's got the male equivalent of a WAP. What is it? A WAP.
I mean, if anyone has a WAP, it's Kirk.
yeah, yeah. That's why he's so close with Bones. He's constantly like, just so afraid for his life that his like constant, arousal is actually some sort of medical.
Oh my
danger.
God, good
so
point.
Ensign, bring a bucket and a mop to the bridge.
Yeah.
He was sick of calling that hotline for erections that have lasted more than 4 hours. He just decided to bring the doctor with him everywhere. So this is still good. This is not a problem yet. This looks normal to you. Got it.
He's doing chest compressions on the Chancellor, and he's like, so he's dead, but we've got a problem. Could
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
really quick, really quick?
I'm getting a little, rigor mortis is setting in, if you know what I mean.
So the real question is, are you guys more of a Samantha or a Charlotte or a Carrie
Oh
Bradshaw?
God, I hate
Carrie.
that question.
Wait, no. Carrie's her name.
It's Samantha. The answer is Samantha because she's the one who's in this movie.
She's a Samantha.
Wait, what's the other one?
What's her name in
Meredith?
the movie? I already forgot. I can't remember.
Valeris?
Valeris.
Valeris, yeah.
That sounds like a Game of Thrones character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it is.
I thought it was Volaris, but it's Valeris because of the subtitles.
Like Valerie, like the space version of Valerie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Vulcan
This is,
Val.
Vulcan Val. It starts with a V,
Yeah.
so we won't
She-
forget what she is.
After she was
She does have sass.
Yeah,
She's
after
very
she-
Samantha before she was Samantha.
after she was rehabilitated in Starfleet prison, she became like an infomercial like lady, like Vulcan Val, here to sell you the new logic,
No, she
Pills.
became a very successful PR woman. God.
this is
So you've
the-
never seen Sex in the City? The same character, you guys. Come on.
This is the I was thinking this, like, I was shocked to see her and I was like, oh, she had a movie career, but then I recalled that she was in Big Trouble in Little Chinatown, and then I remembered that she was actually in the first Police Academy movie, and then I remembered
Yeah.
that she was in Mannequin. So I've seen
Yeah.
her in, I thought I'd seen her in
She
0
ruled the
movies.
80s.
I thought I'd seen her in 0 movies, and it actually was more like 4, and at least a couple of those were classics.
Mannequin
Yeah,
rules.
She ruled the 80s with an iron fist.
Good for her. She's hot.
And then she ruled the 90s, or whenever Sex and the City was on, kind of the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
She was pretty big.
Yeah,
Every
I think.
slutty girl wanted to be her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like
'Cause
a
she
lot
owned
of-
it.
I think she's.
Correct.
I think she's either the second most popular character or the first most popular character because she has more. She's more unique to the show than any of the other ones. Like,
Are you saying that she's either the first or second most popular character in Star Trek history? I'm going to go ahead and second that. I think that's true.
No,
I
that's
was
not what
going
I
to
said
say,
at
I
all.
was like, that's an interesting take.
Hot take coming through.
It's the buzz cut on the sides. That's what does it.
That is
yeah.
what does it.
The undercut.
It's
Yeah.
like everyone else is doing pointy sideburns, and she's like, I'm making no sideburns happen. That's my
Lose
that's
the
my look."
burns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Excuse me? You heard me.
that's a wig though, right? I mean, that doesn't look like human hair to me.
Does
It's horsehair.
does any Vulcan hair look
Lots
like
of wigs are human hair, though.
Oh,
that
yeah,
is
yeah,
true?
nice
Yeah,
point.
So
you can't tell that
know.
mine.
It's a
very-
weave.
You really laid down that lace front. It looks beautiful.
Look at Shatner.
Oh, God.
Also a weave.
Isn't it just that spray? Isn't he just
Gord-
spraying his bald spots?
No, I think we've talked about this before. How they accused him of stealing other people's wigs on the original series.
That's thousands of dollars in theft.
Hundreds of dollars.
Dozens
I
of
don't blame
dollars.
them.
Dozens of dollars. These are quality wigs, people.
So yeah, Kim Cattrall, she kind of owns this movie. I mean, the cast of this movie is just through the roof. I mean, we got. Let's talk about
love
the cast a little bit.
this cast.
Hold
So
on. Let's
much.
talk about the Christian
what
Slater
was Christian
cameo.
Slater
on there?
I looked it up. I looked it up.
Thank you. You can shed light on this.
Because I screamed. I was watching it and I screamed when he turned on the light. I was like, and I guess he was wearing Kirk's uniform from Star Trek 1, the motion picture. Because obviously Kirk didn't fit in it anymore. But his mom is the casting director of the movie, and he's a huge fan. So that's how he got a cameo.
So
he was like, I love Star Trek. Put me in the movie, please.
He has
He was-
lines.
He was, he was an actor at that point, wasn't he?
I was gonna ask, how famous was he at this point?
When did Heathers come out?
1991.
Oh, so he also needed rehabilitation. He blew up a high school, and they said, go to space. There he is. Starfleet.
He must have been working at that time already, though, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't think his mom had that much pull as a casting director. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, he'd already been in. So 1991, good year for him. He was in Mobsters and Prince of Thieves. He'd already been in Young Guns 2, Pump Up the Volume. He'd been in everything. Gleaming the Cube.
oh, he earned that cameo.
Yeah.
So this was a crowd cheer moment.
Exactly.
when they
Yeah.
revealed-
People knew
yeah.
who knew who he was.
You mean at the time?
Yeah.
I was like, in my
Still is.
apartment?
at
Yes.
the time. Yeah, now it'd be
It still is.
no one would know who he
I'm
is.
I'm just so happy for him that he did that and that he's
Yeah.
there and he's a part of it.
Yep.
It's like what happens now with what was happening, I should say, with the Star Wars movies and J.J. Abrams putting like his pals in stormtrooper outfits.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Just-
here and there, Greg Grunberg is always popping up somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah,
know.
right. Yeah, he takes it to like the nth degree
He's
where it's like not cool.
Always
anymore.
popping up and looking out of place somewhere.
So what else? Are we done with the cast?
Well,
No,
we
we
got-
got Iman.
We got him on. Yep.
I
We
want
could-
to
we
talk
could go
about
on
the
for a while
TGRI
with the
guy
cast.
again. David Warner. You know what I
TGRI.
Yeah, I always think of TGRI. You know what I realized? He is the voice of Ra's al Ghul in Batman the Animated Series. Except in Batman the Animated Series, they call him Ra's al Ghul because they do. And I think we're forgetting a very important member of the cast, President of the Federation, Kurtwood
Yes.
Smith.
I love that guy.
He
Clarence
has my
Boddicker.
favorite line in cinema history ever in RoboCop when he walks into that
Bitches
guy's...
leave.
Yes!
Is that the
Bitches
line?
leave. Yes, that's the line. It's my
Guns, guns, guns.
He's got a lot of
Bitches
good lines in
leave.
that one.
Ugh.
He's great.
But that one, it was just like the way he delivered it. I was like,
Yep.
me as a
Bitches
5-year-old
leave.
watching it, I was like, wow.
Can you fly, Bobby?
His,
He's
His
so,
finest
he's mean.
role.
He's scary.
The saddest part of this movie is that he's not in a scene with Christopher Plummer and David Warner. Just the three of them, that would have been amazing.
He's kind of horribly miscast. I think he should have been Christopher Plummer's character.
Agreed. And Christopher Plummer should have been the president.
Yes.
Also,
Is-
the fact that they named that character Chang.
Yeah.
General
kinda
Chang.
Wh- I have so many questions, and so they named him Chang obviously because he had a little Asian mustache.
Manchu.
Yeah, which I
So
think
wrong.
doesn't make it better.
No, worse.
But also, I'm wondering. I mean, nobody knew who Kurtwood Smith is, so they obviously are going to give the bigger actor the bigger part. But what was Kurtwood Smith supposed to be a Klingon?
No, he's like
That's what-
another. He's
I
another.
was so
alien.
confused
He's a
about 'cause
non-human.
Well, he had a big forehead, and I
He
was
looked
like,
like a Klingon.
yeah, he
I
looked
thought he
like
was
a
just an
Klingon.
old Klingon.
Yeah,
No.
but I couldn't understand why a Klingon would be president of the Federation when the Klingons are at war with the Federation. I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
Remember
why is this
in
Klingon in charge?
Remember in Star Trek 4 when you were like, "Who's this albino guy who's like at the helm of the ship with the black woman captain?" I think he's
Oh, yeah.
that species.
Oh,
it's
that
too close, man.
yeah,
He's
that was
the
like
Pyme albino species.
yeah the dog
Well-
the dog man.
Romulans look like Vulcans.
Yeah.
It's
So I guess, fuck it.
I mean, I think you really gotta if you're gonna be that close though with the giant forehead and the weird facial hair, I think you gotta have some distinguishing characteristic that makes me, the layman, know that he's not a Klingon. That was confusing.
Agreed.
I was like, how is the guy who's in charge of the Federation also a Klingon that they're at war with? This doesn't.
Me personally, I disagree. He's not a Klingon.
This movie
that's what
has
I'm
a
saying.
lot of subtle and not so subtle examples of racism,
Yes.
both intentional and not intentional.
Which
um,
is
or
ironic
xenophobia.
considering what I feel like Star Trek is based on. I think it tackled a lot of these issues, and then with the casting, I was like, but it's all about being different and embracing different cultures. But you're gonna take a white guy and name him Chang and give him a quote unquote Asian like mustache? Like, come on.
I feel like it was a choice to have Admiral Cartwright in the beginning be the one, like, these Klingons are they're going to be the trash of the universe or whatever he says, right?
He says that.
I feel like that's
trash.
a directorial choice to be like, look, the black guy is saying this, which in itself is a racist kind of thing, right? And then they have...
It's like we're beyond racism because now even black guys are racist against Klingons.
Yeah,
you know?
That's what they're trying to say,
Yeah,
but
right.
like it kind of comes off the wrong way.
Doesn't really
or
work.
at least now it does.
It's ultimately
then-
tone deaf.
Yeah.
So
The
that
other
was
one was-
actually. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say the other one was Chekhov when he says, "Guess who's coming to dinner," which apparently I read there's a director's cut where that line is cut because the director didn't want that. He felt like that was too
I watched.
And
the
also just like a
director's-
really super dated reference.
Yeah.
Especially considering what year they're in.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's watching Sidney Poitier movies in that era. And if they are, it's in the still of the night. No. Heat of the night? Heat of the night.
Yeah,
He
Heat of the
was-
Night.
Yeah.
Still of the Night. What the fuck?
That's a song.
I don't know. I kind of liked it.
In
I.
the heat of the night.
Oh,
Heat,
you know what
the
I,
Heat of the Night is also a song.
Harris is old. Let's continue.
All right, go ahead, Colin. You've been trying to get a word in.
there's
edgewise
like
here for a while.
5 things that I haven't got to say like at this point.
Maybe we should just
Welcome
move
to
on.
my world. Yeah.
Yeah. So I one.
So anyway, just kidding.
So for one, I watched the director's cut, and he still says, "Guess who's coming to Guess who's coming to dinner?" So I guess that is not the director's cut. Number 2, one of the big stories about this movie was that Gene Roddenberry did object to the script because he did feel that he wanted to represent Starfleet as, you know, a place where they were, you know, further past these kind of racial attitudes and this kind of xenophobia. And so I think it was really on the director to show that Kirk was struggling with the fact that ultimately his ideals are inclusive, but that he hates Klingons mainly because of his son's death. And I do think that works for the overall arc of Kirk through all these movies, but I don't know if they did a good enough job of showing that. I think that's kind of subjective. I think there's going to be a lot of disagreement about that. And the last thing I wanted to say was that, you know, they have the security guys again, and they have the same little vest, but they don't have those helmets that you love, Harris. And
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
really
Where's the
sorry about that.
Funky leather football helmets. I missed those.
Me too.
I was very disappointed. So Gene Roddenberry objected to the script, and yet they felt like it was cool to like dedicate the movie to him afterwards.
I was going to
The
say, I was
opening
like,
card.
Gene Roddenberry, even though we didn't really fucking care what you were trying to say. R.I.P.
For Gene Roddenberry, who loved this script.
He read it and then died from pleasure.
It was so good, it killed him.
Can't say shit when you're dead, Gene.
I think he objected to a lot of stuff, and they were like, oh, fuck it, we love him anyways, and we're going to make money off this, and he's passed. So for him, baby.
Maybe they carried out a plot much like the plot of this film where they had him assassinated
There you go. Now
in
you're
order to
thinking.
get the movie made.
It's like, we can't get this off the ground. Roddenberry's throwing up walls in every direction.
Bring me Chang.
No, not him, the white one.
Oh.
Oh man. So this movie is basically just a big space allegory for the fall of the USSR. Is that
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean,
the
it
Chang
starts off. Yep. go ahead.
the Chang thing. There was a real precedent set of taking like Asian influences to build this fictional culture of the Klingons. Because Commander Worf in the series Star Trek: The Next Generation, he does Tai Chi, but it's not Tai Chi. It's some kind of Klingon martial art where you're doing Tai Chi, but it's some Klingon name for it. It's very focused on the martial arts part of it.
Yeah, I guess I could see some Asian influence.
It's very like Mongolian. They're like I think they took a lot of inspiration from the Mongolian Empire, the Genghis Khan one, because basically, they characterize them as these space warriors who go around and conquer, and like that's part of their culture, and they're kind of adjusting to interacting with other cultures who space travel for other reasons.
I watched a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff, and basically Leonard Nimoy said, that the Klingons have always kind of represented the Russians, and like, at that point the USSR had broken up or had fallen, and the Cold War ended, and so they were like, that's, or and Chernobyl.
Yeah,
was
I was
sort of
about
like
to say that.
Yeah, the thing that started it, got the ball rolling. And so they said, that's a cool story. Let's just do that in space. And everyone was like, yeah, I'm on board for that. That's pretty fucking cool. And so the movie starts off with that big explosion, which is like their Chernobyl. And
Praxis is their key energy production facility.
Yeah. The guy comes on. He's like, there was an accident, but we're fine. We don't need help. It was just a small little nothing.
Right
Oh
after
my
you
God.
got right after you got the guy who was like blah blah.
Everything's on fire. We're all gonna die. No, everything's fine. Ignore the screaming, man. It's cool.
You know what line I hate is the guy who goes, I can confirm the location of Praxis, but I can't confirm the existence of Praxis. I was like, just say it's blown up, you fucking dumbass. Fuck you. I would have sent him off the bridge right there. I'd have been like, go get the hell out of my bridge.
Don't dick around with semantics now. We're trying to get information, guy.
Oh, whose bridge was it, Colin?
Commander
that scene.
Sulu. I mean, Captain Sulu.
Captain Sulu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll watch it.
Yeah, that's Captain Sulu to you.
Captain.
Captain Sulu if you're nasty.
I'm the real Asian here. So yeah, Sulu's moving on up.
Yeah, he's the
Good
one who
for him.
he helps kill General Chang. You could say he did the death blow on General Chang.
Yeah, big part for him.
I love his teacup. I love it. I love that he's got like teacups on the bridge.
Which I think should be like against the rules or something, because when that teacup breaks, liquid gets everywhere, and that can't be good for shit. Also, by the way, like this is how many years in the future, and like at what point do they go, hey, we should have seatbelts in this fucking thing? Because like
I thought the same thing.
When they get hit with that energy blast, the entire like 30 people end up in a corner on one side of the room in a giant like Starfleet person pile. It's like
There's
seatbelts. We invented them years ago. Like,
or some kind of gravitational
Like
whoozy what's it that's
suck
like,
your
oh,
butt
I'm
to your
gonna
seat.
keep
Yeah.
everyone's like, come on.
They already have artificial gravity in every room that doesn't suck all the power that they're generating. And Harris, what you're saying is really gonna upset a lot of really great stunt coordinators out there. And I'm personally offended.
Wait, you think they use stunt coordinators to get these people to fling themselves around the room like clowns? I don't
They
know.
should.
I don't know that any stunt coordinators have ever been involved in any Star Trek movies, at least in the capacity of how people should look when the ship is being attacked. I feel like they just improv that as they go. They just fling themselves wildly in different directions. And
I believe
wave
it
their
should
arms
be.
and yell.
I believe it should be improv, and there should be a stunt coordinator there, and he should be paid well. I believe all of those things.
I want to talk about Kirk's private quarters for a little bit. Did you guys?
We already talked
pay
about his
attention?
boner. Oh, you're talking about the place where he lives.
Yeah. Did you guys notice any like production design elements? Harris, you have a keen eye. For
Are you talking about
things like
Spock or Kirk?
that. No, Kirk.
Oh, because we
Well,
go in
Spock
Spock's quarters
too.
more.
I don't even remember, when were we in Kirk's quarters in this
Yeah.
When
When he was doing his little diary entry.
Oh, yeah,
It's called
right.
the captain's log. Chandler, come on. You know it's called.
Yeah.
the
I know it's a captain's
but
log, but
you know-
it's a diary.
You know what we also call the captain's log. So to eliminate confusion, referring to it as a diary is better, because the captain's log could be one of a couple of things.
yeah,
Harris is talking about a
Oh
poop.
God,
Klingon. It's a Klingon.
that took me a minute.
All I wanted to say really was that I noticed that he had a picture of a whale hanging up in his quarters.
It's
Who's that?
soothing. Reminds him of home. San Francisco.
What's with the dog?
I don't know.
Where is
The
it?
terrace.
There's this freaking. I don't know why this dog barks every fucking time. I'm sorry.
That sounded automated, to
time.
be honest. It sounded
Yeah.
like one of those robot dogs from like the early 2000s.
I think it's a robot dog.
It does.
You need to get a broom and like bang it on your ceiling and say, hey, I'm recording a podcast with my dad in here.
So my dad. I'm recording my podcast. Hey, fuck you! It's with my dad. Oh, okay. My bad. My bad.
Oh yeah, your
Sorry,
dad's
sir.
cool.
Anyway, whales.
Anyways, Kirk has a picture of a whale hanging up in his quarters. I thought that was a nice touch, nice throwback to the greatest film of the series.
Free Willy.
And then yes, and then he also had a fire extinguisher next to his door, and it just really stood out to me as like, I don't know. I feel like they would have some more futuristic way to prevent fires in the future.
You think maybe
Yeah, it's like built
like
into the ship.
Yeah, like there would be sprinklers or something, right?
yeah.
At the very least, but an old school fire extinguisher.
Maybe it's because he's
painted
like
silver.
You know, they're kind of like retro about some things. And they're like, oh, let's just do I love old-fashioned fire. This is an antique fire extinguisher from 100 years ago. You know, that's like he collects fire extinguishers. That's one of Kirk's things. Swords and
It's like
fire
in,
extinguishers.
What
I believe
movie is
that.
it? Is it Speed, where Sandra Bullock's character has a Lethal Weapon 3 poster in her office? She's like obsessed with the 90s.
No,
Does
that's
anyone remember
Demolition
Oh,
Man.
Demolition
She
Man.
collects stuff
Demolition
from
Man,
the
that's
90s.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's a
Demolition
whole
Man.
part of her character because that's why she thinks Stallone is cool, and he's like,
Right.
Yeah.
"This is a cool."
That was,
like, you're
great.
definitely my
Good
dog.
one.
That was rough. That was rough stuff.
What, the Stallone impression?
The Stallone impression. It was.
I only
it
said
was-
like one word.
Yeah, that's why it's so weird that you blew
It
it.
was enough.
I don't know. I liked Spock's. I like going into Spock's quarters. It was
His-
like crazy sexual. I was like, the movie was just seeping with like sexual tension everywhere. Like even between Christopher Plummer and Kirk. I was like, why does everyone have chemistry? What is happening?
Harris loves to talk about how sexual these movies are. He,
They are very
thinks that,
charged.
like everyone's gonna have sex at all times.
I
I don't understand why movies.
I don't think they're always
aren't-
going to have sex. I think they're all going to make out at any moment. Just like some
Okay,
really
all
heavy
right.
petting.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
really
think-
cleaned it up.
I don't think Captain Kirk is like wants to like actually, you know, pee in anybody, but
What?
What the hell?
I'm
is
using
that?
initials rather than talk about his
Oh.
boner again.
I thought.
I believe the letters you're looking for are WAP, which is what you have for these movies.
I don't think he wants to stick his pee in anybody else's A until he sees all over their. But
He's a
F's?
bottom.
yeah, he's probably a bottom. But my point is that I think he would go as far as some making out and heavy petting out of respect.
Sure. Yeah.
I think he just loves
Fair.
attention.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair.
I don't think it's about like sexuality at all. I think it's just like look at me. Approval.
I-
He needs approval.
I think more movies should be like that.
I
I'm gonna
agree
take
though.
that stance.
Sure.
Okay.
I concur.
Let's talk about Rura Pente. That was a big part of this movie. When this movie becomes a POW movie.
Well, this movie is a
Yeah.
heist movie. Like it's just, or not a heist movie. I'm sorry,
It's
it's
a
a whodunit.
whodunit.
Why did I say heist?
Yeah.
I meant whodunit. It's a whodunit in space. Like it's.
I'll edit that to make you sound smarter.
No, make me sound smart.
You would never do that. You would never do that.
No, me. I'm smart. Me.
Actually, all the times I've ever sounded dumb is actually Matt editing it to make me sound worse.
Oh my God, Colin, you've never edited any of these episodes. You don't know the great length we go to try to make you sound not even smart, just coherent sometimes. It takes a lot of cutting. Sometimes I can't
It's
even
true.
figure out what you're trying to say until I've listened to it a couple of times, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I think I can cut this together into what he means.
Whatever. Don't believe him. What are my fans called again? Colonizers?
Colin Nation.
The colonation?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Don't believe him.
colonization. Believe what you want. I'll edit the raw. I'll release the raw tapes.
I really want Spock's teacup. I mean, is
Oh my
that
god, it's beautiful.
thing
I
a
thought that
sculpture?
was some kind of like elixir. That's what was so sexual. I was like, They're sharing this very intricate.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing you serve roofies in.
Oy vey, Spock would never. It's Spock we're talking about.
No,
yeah.
he would
Also,
never. But
the thing you
wink,
put
wink.
roofies in is not supposed to look like it has roofies in it. That's like
that's true. That's a good point.
that's counterintuitive to me. Not that I would. I'm still disgusted.
It's
but,
like
you know.
once you slip into that silk bathrobe, anything you offer is going to seem like it has roofies in it. So you want it to be innocuous. The cup.
Yeah, we went to a really disgusting place here.
Yes. Also, he was wearing some kind of ceremonial robe. I was like, "What am I missing here?
That's what Vulcans
what's
wear.
happening?"
That's what they wear.
It's very normal.
I don't know if it's the HD or whatever, but I just realized that in this scene the props look really fake and cheap to me, don't they? Like all his little like pyramid thing that he's lighting the candle. You know what I'm talking about?
The candle is a pyramid, isn't it? A pyramid?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Candle?
But it just looked really.
That's just because
Not
you're
good.
used to like places selling that a lot more now, because that's like really trendy. There's like little candles
Yeah.
like
Spock
that.
is hip, man. He's very
When a tiny
hip.
pyramid appeared in this movie, audiences were blown the fuck away. They were like,
They're like, wait, it's a candle too? I got a Spock question since we're talking about him. You told me in one of the other podcasts that he ages slower than everyone else and will live much longer than everyone because Vulcans live for a really long
Yeah,
time.
I know he doesn't look like it.
Yeah, he looks like
He
he's
looks
aging
the
in dog
opposite.
years. Yeah, exactly. He looks like he's aging faster than everyone else. It's like even McCoy has he started off kind of old, but he hasn't really changed that much. Every single movie I see, I'm like, oh my God, Leonard Nimoy looks horrible. What happened?
I like
Okay, well, also he had a story by credit and he has an EP credit. He was doing 10 times more work than any of those other fuckers. And he produced anything.
Or he had-
aged 10 years.
Or he had a good agent. I think he might have just had a good agent negotiating for him.
That's true.
I think he was doing a lot of work, and also I think just like smoking a lot the whole time. And also I like to think of it as like, because Spock the character did die and come back to life, maybe the Genesis planet wave made him just look old.
Isn't he half human?
Yeah, he's half human.
So maybe his human side ages really fast.
Yeah, it's like maybe he has like Vulcan like internal aging, but his
There you
his
go.
appearance aging is the human side.
Yeah.
Or maybe the waist up old man.
Yeah.
Down,
Just
young,
totally jacked.
where it matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would believe that 100%.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I wish they had like gone into that a little bit at some point during the show. Is like, but it's like you can't have.
I'm sure
everything.
there must be some deleted scene somewhere of his very youthful calves.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to. I mean, if there was some way we could use deep fake technology or something, maybe we could put something together where we could have Spock's character really explained, especially the waist down virility or vitality.
I think what you're referring to is a porn parody, which I'm sure I'm sure that's out there somewhere.
Okay.
Ah,
That's
Leonard
good.
Undiscovered,
Nimoy. I miss you.
you know what?
Bless him.
Yeah, I miss him too.
Let's talk about Iman. She is in Rurapente. I'm
Hot.
watching these scenes right now. She's very hot. She's good in this movie. She is the best part.
I remember watching this as a very young man and just like really being upset that she turns out to be evil because she's just so hot, and I just didn't want to. I didn't want to live in that kind of world.
You can't trust hot women.
I know, and
Ever.
this and
It's an important lesson for young Colin, I think.
yeah, it was an important lesson learned for a young me, but it wasn't one I wanted to learn at that time, and it I guess upset me.
Well, if it makes you, if it could have made you feel any better, I mean, for all we know, I don't think she was actually a woman.
True.
I think like she basically says that she just is trying to look nice for to get along, but she's actually.
So this is somewhere I really hope this podcast would go, is how do you feel about shapeshifter relations? Because you can never know what they really are, but they can be what you want them to be.
Yes.
I like to believe her true form was when she looked like Kirk.
I wish we could have seen them make out.
Yeah,
that-
that was about
They
to
almost
say.
did.
Once again, I felt like there was a lot of sexual tension in that fight.
Yep, for sure.
He even says a line like, he says something about like, "Wow, you
I
look
can't
like
believe
me."
I
and he's
kissed you.
like, yeah. Get your finger out of my butthole.
Deeper. I mean, get it out. In again.
Yeah.
Out. No, I can't decide.
Yeah, would you rather have sex with a clone of yourself or a shapeshifter who's being you? You don't have to answer.
This is very interesting. I think a shapeshifter, because if it's a clone of me, then it's also cloned my brain. And I think
That means that when you
like, that's not very dynamic.
yeah,
Well,
so
Are we obligated to have sex with ourselves if we meet our exact double?
Yes.
Is that like a thing that?
Yeah.
That's a thing.
So that
people
we
have to
can
do, right?
combine
Well, I think
to make one.
I would go with the clone if it has my mind, because then it knows what I want. You know.
no, see that's the problem is if it's
That's
a clone.
That's too intimate. That's too intimate. I
Just-
say no. You don't
Just
get
butt
that
stuff.
much.
Right. No. No, see that's the problem is if it's a clone and it has your mind, when you start to like go for your first move, it's gonna do the same move and you're gonna keep colliding, and
No,
you're never
it's-
gonna
no.
actually get there. You know what I mean?
Because we're not mirror images of each other. We're compatible. So I reach out to cut.
Oh,
my
so you
buttocks
go
with
left
my-
hand and
yeah,
he
I
goes
cut-
right hand.
No, we both go right hand, and I cut my left
Oh,
buttock
'cause-
with my right hand, and he does the same thing. So it works out perfect.
Reach
So it's
around.
just a lot of penis sword fighting. Just a lot of this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know
Obviously.
why. I don't know why.
Matt, you didn't answer, did you?
Answer what?
Cloner,
Shapeshifter.
shapeshifter.
I'm too busy watching the Christian Slater. scene
Stop
right now,
watching
guys.
the stop watching the movie. You
Okay,
always
Christian Slater and Sulu. That I mean,
Oh yeah, there was something going on there. Definitely.
Sulu hired him for a
Yeah.
reason.
Sulu
That's
was like,
what's up.
"I'm happy to
Yeah.
do this scene."
Good for
Very
him.
happy.
Why the hell in their beds do they have a fucking spotlight that points directly at your eyes? Like that seems like the worst kind of bed design ever.
It's like in any science fiction movie when they put like a helmet on and there's lights inside pointed at their face to light up their face. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Also, the color of Klingon blood in this movie is inconsistent.
Pepto
Anyone
Bismol.
notice that?
It's Pepto-Bismol. Yeah,
Yeah.
right? Isn't it?
It's Pepto-Bismol,
Maybe a little hot pinker than Pepto-Bismol, but in
It
that
reminded me of like a paintball fight.
Yeah, it's
Like paintball.
It's Pepto Bismol
Yeah.
mixed with some paint or something. It's probably
thought
not Pepto Bismol because that would cost more than like pink than
That's a good
Pepto Bismol colored paint. That's kind
They
of
have $1 million pink goo department.
when they had the blood first floating when the guys come onto the spaceship and somehow like just slowly shoot their way through this fearsome warrior race that put us up no fight whatsoever.
They
they're
train for
floating.
war in
Oh.
gravity.
And so they can't adapt at all. They just sit there
Nope.
like, oh no, I'm just a target in a gallery now.
Didn't you
know,
hear the
like-
guy during the trial?
I
I
heard
became
that-
disabled.
I heard that loser complaining about things, and I was like, grab onto the walls. What is your problem? I thought you were
get
a
it.
fearsome warrior.
Get a fucking arm, chump.
Adapt, just think on your feet. What, you didn't ever? I don't know. I've got a lot of complaints with that scene, but my biggest one was the blood looks so stupid.
Oh my God, yeah.
But then we actually saw the blood in regular light, and it was supposed to be that color pink, which was half my complaint. Like, it looked stupid because it was just bad computer effects, but a lot of it was that it was a dumb color, and I was like, oh, their blood is actually a dumb color, so that
Yeah, it's bad
fault them for
CGI.
that.
It's just bad
Yeah.
CGI.
Yeah, I could see that being annoying for non-trekkers. Like, yeah, that was my first thought too. Is like, oh yeah, the color of the blood looks very PG-13. They didn't make it like blood enough, blood red.
Yeah.
But then when it splats on the ground, you're like, oh, it's supposed to be that color. They should have like somehow set that up earlier. Have someone like prick his
Yeah.
finger and be like, oh, paper cut, and you see the
Yeah.
pink stuff come out
Well, like
at the dinner table, maybe.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
guy accidentally stabs himself in the eye with a fork, and they're like,
Oh, that's not
oh,
how you use
this
it."
happens all the time. That's how he lost his eye.
No, because they eat with their hands, so they could have been like, "Oh, what is it?" You saw them pick up the forks, and they're like, "What the fuck is this shit?" They should have like, accidentally like, "Oh, I tried to use this fork, and I think forks are fucking stupid, and I hate you." And then,
They walk home from the dinner with just silverware sticking out of all their hands. I don't know how to use it.
yeah, No,
we are fans of the spork. That is all.
They eat with their hands. They always eat with their hands, and they always wear those
It
gloves.
serves many purposes.
They always wear those gloves without the fingers, with a little like pointy thing on the finger, which I'm sure gets a bunch of nasty food in them and is like super unsanitary. But whatever. In Star Trek lore, the Vulcans have green blood, and so I guess they decided.
Romulans, right?
I think so, yeah. So I guess they decided that like Klingons need a different color blood also, but it actually is not continuity, because there's stuff where there's Klingons in things that were made before 1991 where they bleed like regular red. I believe in Star Trek 3 they bleed regular red because there's fighting in that with Kruge.
That Klingon bastard.
Klingon bastard killed my son. Klingon bastard killed my son.
Killed my son.
Klingon bastard killed my son.
Do you want one more? I could keep going.
No, to do the thing where you try to sit in the chair, but you kind of fall out of it. That's what he does.
Other than the blood, I thought the effects work in this movie was pretty good for the most part. A lot of the space stuff looked cool.
Yeah. I like the big explosion at the beginning. That was cool.
Yep. That was cool. The makeup effects, even I'm watching the transforming right now. She's what's her name? Iman is transforming into a little girl. Looks great. It looks good. I mean, it holds up to today's. Obviously they used the one CGI bit was the blood. That was probably really cool at the time, but it's a little dated.
Well, that's why it's so disappointing, is that up until that point, everything was looking pretty good. And then past that, so I was like, what the fuck was that? It was like those, remember when Heinz Ketchup was trying to appeal to the teens, and so they made it like purple and green, and the commercials were stupid? I was like, is this a ketchup commercial? Because that's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't drinking more ketchup, because of the color.
It was.
I know, right? I was like, what the hell?
A glass a day keeps everyone away.
Ketchup is actually just now I'm forgetting the name of the species. Fuck.
Klingon blood?
Klingon blood. Oh, man.
I'll edit that together so you don't sound so stupid.
Wait, you got to give us a clean one. Clean one.
I've lost it. Just let him know I'm dumb and have a bad memory.
Got it.
I think the sets look good. The ice stuff. Yeah. I like all the frozen people that they find in the ice. I'm just saying what I'm seeing.
You're just saying things that you're seeing. Join the conversation here.
I like the guy who plays the warden of Rurapente. He's really giving a lot more to that performance than is even necessary, really. Like the character's written forgettable, and he's just trying to make you remember him.
Yeah.
That's
the guy who's like, there's no guard towers here.
Yeah.
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 No
You guys seen
stockade.
Shakespeare in Love?
What?
Has everyone seen Shakespeare in Love?
Yes.
You know the guy that plays the apothecary?
Oh yeah.
And he's like, he has like one line. He keeps trying to make it like as good as possible. He's like, and he's like, he thinks it's like, this is the pinnacle of it, and he's so nervous, and then he kills it.
Yeah.
But it was like, he's like, oh my god, this part. It's like he was making this tiny part, this huge thing.
Yep.
That's this.
That's what
There
he's
you go.
doing.
That's your warden.
Definitely what he's doing.
Have you seen the sequel, Shakespeare in Hate?
Oh god.
The trilogy.
No.
I'll be cutting that one.
They could have launched a franchise. They missed an opportunity there.
That's true.
Shakespeare
many
in
emotions
and
we
yeah,
can
I
do.
know. Yeah, Shakespeare in Fear, Shakespeare in Lust, Shakespeare in
Shakespeare in Arizona.
Yeah,
Hey, Shakespeare in Space, the final frontier.
Space Beer.
Space Spear. That's great.
That's what Chang is doing at the end when he's mixing the Klingon version and the regular version up. He's doing Space Spear.
Yeah.
Tak ba, tak bet.
So should we talk about? we said it was a whodunit. Should we talk a little bit more about this investigation that takes up a bulk of the? I guess it's the B plot of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty
Led
cool.
by
Sure.
Kim Cattrall and Spock are investigating who actually crept onto the ship and perpetrated these assassinations.
So one thing bothered me, and that was that when they assassinated everyone on the Klingon ship, they shot the one dude's arm off, but then he's clearly still alive in the background. and they don't kill him. And I thought, why would they do that? And so then later on at the trial, he's there only to say that they were wearing gravity boots. And this alone is the one fact that gets Spock to deduce that it must be people from their ship who are on the ship, and we got to find these boots or whatever. So had they just killed that guy, that fact never would have been released, and Spock would have nothing, no leads at all.
But they did need they did
That's
need
not
a
true.
witness to say that it was Federation people that were on the ship.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So-
that's also not true. The main thing is that he knows that the databanks were altered. So he knows that someone who was part of the conspiracy had to be on the ship, and they can't have left.
So they have like a few pieces of evidence that they explore. Because so first of all, they got that the Enterprise fired 2 photon torpedoes, but they have no record of any of their photon torpedoes being fired. But it does say in their log that 2 were fired, but they have all of theirs, so they know they didn't fire them. So they deduce that it must be a what is it called? A Romulan bird of prey.
Bird of prey.
Yeah,
Klingon bird
that
of prey.
could Klingon bird of prey that could fire without cloaking.
While cloaked.
Yeah, without uncloaking. That's
Yes.
right. Yeah. So that's the first piece of evidence.
Words.
Then they have the gravity boots that somebody on their ship must have, and then later they find out that there's Klingon blood in Chekhov finds Klingon blood in one of the places. Teleporter
Which is
room.
purple.
Yeah.
It's purple blood.
Yeah.
That's what led me to my comment earlier.
Here's
yeah,
the big
right.
question. Worst part or best part? Chekhov confronting the guy who he thinks owns the boots and not looking at his feet. Worst part or best part of the investigation?
It's such a lame joke that doesn't work, and yet I love that guy and his feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. He really sells it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With his
That
big,
guy kills
stupid
it.
feet.
The fucking
I'm gonna-
cast of this movie is so good. Like, down to the people that you don't know are great. To me. Sorry. I
Like
didn't mean to
a very young Keenan Thompson.
interrupt you. Yeah.
Although like side characters who we love and always pick on have like pretty good moments in this. I think that was Chekhov's moment.
Yep.
Uhura, when she's communicating with the Klingons and they're like reading from the dictionary and like trying to
yes.
figure out how to say whatever. And then she does the fake laugh and she's like, and just cuts them
Yeah.
off. Great.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chekhov. They make Chekhov a little too dumb in this one. Like, why wouldn't he
Isn't
look at his
Chekhov-
fucking feet?
Isn't Chekhov always a little bit dumb, though? I feel like that's like part
Yeah,
of
a
his
little
character,
bit,
that he's
yeah.
not that smart.
Like, why the hell? When he was on the ship in number 4 and he just starts running and he just whoa.
But I think you're right. I think they wanted to give everyone like a proper send off, and that's why I think Scotty didn't have anything really important to do. So they're like, I guess Scotty will kill the assassin at the end. That makes sense. Sure, whatever.
Yeah, what the? When they're like, he's like, Scotty, go get him. I was like, what?
Let's send the let's send the fattest guy on the crew to run upstairs after the assassin. Scotty, run up the flight of stairs. Are you sure, Captain?
Sure, Captain.
Maybe somebody's a little slighter, Captain.
I said, but I was like, again, he's like, this is my moment. He thought the same thing. He's like, finally, they're letting me do something besides being a little.
He should-
Captain, one of the stairwell is too narrow.
I've got high cholesterol.
He should have gotten up and busted through the door and then just spent a couple of seconds like with his hands on his knees sweating. I found you, you Klingon sniper son of a bitch, and now you'll get yours just as soon as I catch my breath.
These bagpipes aren't what they used to be.
Oh my god.
He just wheezes and it makes bagpipe noises.
yeah.
Oh my god. Leave it to us to just make a bunch of Scottish accent fat jokes. What are we doing here, people? Come on. Let's raise the bar.
I think we're
Peak
nailing
comedy.
it is what we're doing.
Mhm.
I'm watching the Kirk on Kirk fight scene right now. It's classic. Classic.
Does
Kirk
one of
on
them
Kirk.
not have chains on his feet?
Oh, that would be a good way to figure out who's who. I didn't
Yeah,
get why
that's what I was
the
thinking
warden
about.
the warden knew that he was shooting the wrong one, right?
Yeah,
I
no
don't-
witnesses. But I was
Yeah.
like, why don't you just kill them?
Yeah, no witnesses, but also no target of your assassination either.
Witnesses
correct?
die first.
Yeah.
What? Okay. He was going to do the whole, like, I'm a bad guy, and I'm going to tell you who else is a bad guy
I want
and
to
why I'm doing
explain
it.
the many reasons that you're fucked before I kill you.
Yeah, that's
I
why.
love the I'm monologuing.
Yeah.
I'm monologuing.
Yeah, that's why Kirk's reaction's so good. He was gonna give us the whole plan.
Too convenient.
What else have we got to talk about this movie? There's a lot of courtroom stuff going on. Do we want to talk about any of that? I mean, we mentioned Worf.
The courtroom.
Worf's dad.
Yeah, the Klingon trial was cool. That set was awesome.
Yeah, that is some.
Yeah,
That was
that
pretty
is some
sick.
great production design, and like
Also, the judge with the claw hand and the metal
Oh
ball that
my.
it's like instead of a gavel, he smashes this metal
That's
ball and sparks go everywhere. It's awesome.
So metal. I
Yeah.
was like,
Man.
yeah.
Like, how is this not on an album somewhere? Just that claw and ball thing.
Yeah, wouldn't it suck to go to your trial and the moment you enter, everyone is chanting your name as if they want to kill you?
Oh, see, I kind of thought like it would.
think I have
it
a
would,
chance.
It would feel good to walk into the trial and everyone's standing by. I'd be like, yeah, get it up.
Yeah, but there's a I'm celebrating that you're here chant, and there's a I'm celebrating you're here because I want you to die chant, and I feel like those have a different tone. I feel like it's hard to
Kirk
describe.
doesn't care. He's like, there's my attention I love.
Yeah.
He's like, louder, please. Yes,
Bones,
it's
they
me.
like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that bones
James
are not.
Tiberius Kirk. That's me, guys. Hi. Welcome to my channel. Welcome
Bones,
to
I
my
don't hear them saying
trial.
your name.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Matt. You hear that, Bones? They're not saying Bones at all.
They're gonna eat our bones, Jim.
Yeah.
Bones
Jim,
is
they
like,
wanna
I'm trying
kill
to
him.
save the guy. Kirk just has a 24-hour erection. I don't.
Yeah.
Somebody.
Why am
is
I even
anyone else
here?
seeing this?
Yeah.
I should have retired years ago.
Damn it, Jim! They want to kill us. Well, I'm still hard.
Get a mop and a bucket. My WAP is out of control.
Damn it, Jim! Damn it, Jim! I'm a doctor, not a spooge wiper.
That is probably an actual job on the Enterprise, by the way. They got all those smooth surfaces and everything, and you know some poor like recruit that flunked out of the academy has to end up being like the guy who just squeegees everything.
Yeah, but the
He's like, fuck
technology.
this. I'm going to the Excelsior and I'm just going to clean up Sulu's tea. I'm sick of Kirk's spunk.
Yeah.
I'm going for the tea.
Yeah, but the technology is so much beyond like the Swiffer sweeper. Like, it must be so easy.
Nothing will replace the squeegee as the perfect
They
way.
kept squeegees and fire extinguishers.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's it. All other technology has been advanced, but squeegees and fire. Sometimes the old ways are the best.
Oh, I do like that we see the kitchen a lot, or is there a fancy word for kitchen on a
Galley.
ship? That's it.
Oh.
Yes, I knew there was something.
Oh.
Yeah, they're apparently preparing for like Thanksgiving dinner. Did you
Yeah,
guys notice all the turkeys?
I love
Mashed potatoes.
I love that they built a really cool set for the dinner scene and then blew it all up, like practically.
For the dinner scene?
Yeah, like when they all have dinner with the Klingons and everybody together, and then during the battle, they specifically actually blow that whole room up, that whole set they destroy.
Yeah, with the pictures and everything on the wall. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The pieces of glass that hang down from the ceiling that go over the table that don't really do anything. They're just decorative panes of glass.
Yeah, I felt like we saw a lot more parts of the ship that we haven't seen before in this movie, I felt like, because we see like dining rooms and galleys and all sorts of like people's quarters. They're searching locker rooms and stuff, and it's stuff that we've seen like fleeting glimpses of here and there, but we really got like kind of a big tour of the ship in this one.
Well, especially after 5 had like the just absolute bullshit budget that it did, which was like just, everything is like sets from another show.
Yeah, I still feel so bad for 5. Like, why did it get treated that way? It's sort of like the redheaded stepchild of this series.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like at some point there was someone who was like, we know we can make a movie and we can make it this cheaply, but should we? And they had to decide, like, is it worth it? And they're like, of course, why not?
I mean, in their defense, that was a pretty dumb movie. So,
I like it. I'm happy that they did it.
well, no surprises there, but I'm just saying.
Sorry, Chandler, you didn't see 5. You didn't get to.
I didn't, but that was basically because my dad was like, the first movie is not good. The second movie, amazing. And I think he liked 3 and 4, and then he said 5 was terrible, and he said 6 was good. So I was like, okay.
Oh,
Dad,
that's
whatever you
actually
say.
that's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
That's like that's the standard opinion. Like that's
Colin disagrees because he thinks they're all amazing, but normal people, that's pretty much how people feel. Matt's had some hot takes. Matt hated Wrath of Khan and really
What?
and really liked the first one somehow, even though it's totally boring. He was like,
Whoa,
it's
whoa.
actually great.
I didn't hate
Matt, but
Wrath
the
of Khan.
emotion from 2.
I think
Hello?
the first one is a little underrated, and I think Wrath of Khan's a bit overrated. That's all.
You're such
Shocking
a
stuff.
hipster.
Shocking
That's
stuff.
my stance.
Hot takes.
That's my stance. I'm
I
sticking
can't
to
like
it.
things that other people like.
Too
one-
popular for me.
There's one thing we can all agree on, and that's that 4 is dope as fuck.
Yeah.
Shockingly good.
Yeah, it's so good. The fucking
good.
whales, baby.
That's the one where they go back to Earth and they travel back in time and save the whales, and it is so much less dumb than that makes it sound.
It's delightful.
Actually, yeah, I've watched. That's one of the times where my dad was like, "Oh, look, it's on!" And I turned it on, and I was like, "What's up with all these fucking whales?" Okay, what's Spock doing in the street?
Yeah.
What? Okay, you do you, Spock. Embrace your human side, which is not knowing what the fuck you're doing,
Not knowing the crossing signals. And then Sam's
not
just
looking both ways.
Yeah.
Maybe killing some punk on the bus, but he probably didn't die.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe.
Hard to say. Hard to say.
My bad. My bad.
So eventually they're trying to find Kim Cattrall's co-conspirators, and Spock does his mind reading thing on her, and like
I'm
really
watching it right now.
and really fucks her
That was
shit
my
up.
favorite. That was
Um,
my favorite part of the movie.
That was scary shit.
Tell
That
us
was
more.
They were
scary.
playing sinister
That was
music,
scary.
and Kim Cattrall was kind of like selling it a little bit.
Yeah, selling it real hard.
I like
if you
that.
know what
I
I'm
like
saying.
that Kirk
Her
and Bones.
screams were a little. I was like, okay, girl, are
Yeah.
you enjoying this?
Yeah. She's
like,
Maybe?
Put your other hand on my face.
I like that Kirk
Have
and
we ever seen a double mind meld before, Colin?
like
Is this a
one
first?
person mind melds back to the other mind
No, the
meld?
two-hander.
No, 2 trying to.
Oh
get
no,
more.
he was going in just like 2 hands because he was just going hard. You
And he
know,
was
like
juicing that orange.
no, it's
That's a
exactly
Vulcan
like
interrogation.
it's literally
What?
just to make it like more intense. Like you only need one hand, but like if you go 2 hands,
He
that
wanted
means
to
like
go
you're
deep.
fucking getting in that mind, baby.
What are the ethics of mind melding someone that doesn't want to be mind melded?
That's
You
Even
don't
though
do
in
it.
this
I was
case,
thinking.
she was a criminal, but I mean, entering someone's mind without their permission.
Yeah, you
that's
don't
what
do
I was
it.
thinking.
This is
So
special.
double
this is a
fisting it?
taboo. You know, they didn't bring that up at all, though. I feel like that should have been a thing that they sort of like debated a little bit, or
Yeah,
or at
'cause-
least brought up that it was frowned upon. You know.
But
I agree, but I also thought that Leonard Nimoy, the way he played it, was definitely. It felt like he didn't want to do it, but
Yeah.
he had to do it.
yeah,
Yeah,
there was
it was
no
there
time. Yeah,
It was there as subtext, and I think I would have liked a little more like sort of
the
whatever, but-
conversation.
yeah,
yeah.
But I'm with you. It's a good point. He did
I
play
also
it.
I was gonna say I really like that Kirk and McCoy are still all dirty with like 5 o'clock shadows in this scene. I think it adds something to it, especially and they made it darker in there. I think like I don't know.
I kind of didn't. I didn't get like I was like, what? They couldn't bring him a new jacket. They've been traipsing around some prison planet for a day.
But it's like what
They-
they're doing is kind of dirty, you know? Like it's like he's not
Yeah,
really
I guess.
supposed to invade her mind like this, but we need it. And like I'm all dirty. I was on a fucking Rura Pinte, and Spock is just pissed because he's like he's not even supposed to be pissed. He's Vulcan, but he's mad
not-
because you know.
Not to shit on the makeup, but I also thought it was weird that like they just sort of smudged like stuff on people.
Charcoal.
Like they just it's so low budge. They're just smudging stuff on their and it's always like in like strict like forehead, one on the cheek.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
how
they
does
even do it at the beginning when Sulu's ship gets attacked and the bridge sort of shakes up and everyone falls all over the place. There isn't really any big explosions or anything, and when they get up, they all have like soot on their faces, like they just
Bedhead.
got out of a chimney. Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
what the where does all this come from?
I also love that they just take like broken pieces of circuit board and wires and they just hang them from the ceiling and they like
dangle it,
leave
yeah.
it in
Yeah.
the shot, like where it's about to like hit the guy in the forehead and it's still in the shot and he's delivering like important lines for the story.
This movie has a lot of more so than the other movies, a lot of random like crew members standing around awkwardly on the bridge.
Hell yeah.
Like in every big important scene, they're all just standing like at attention, just kind of like watching everyone else talk.
Yeah, I get the impression that that's like Starfleet's ideal running capacity is being way overstaffed, and they just have people
Yeah.
like Harris is fantasizing about, you know, people to do literally every little chore, including, you know, squeegeeing, even though I still think maybe the technology is past squeegeeing, but we could debate that all night.
We joked about like hot dog vendors on the Enterprise, but we actually see the catering crew in this one setting up for dinner and stuff. And it's so clearly there are guys who have shitty jobs on this ship.
What the hell's she doing phasering a fucking pot in the galley, though? I mean, come on.
Yeah,
I love
mean,
that. I thought it was
the
sick, and
mess.
the mashed potatoes were still in there intact.
Was
Come
that?
Yeah,
on,
that was kinda
only
cool.
the pot, only the thing it actually struck.
Yeah.
I was like,
So
that's some
in-
smart ass technology.
Going off that logic, when you shoot someone and they're wearing clothes, wouldn't their clothes just disappear?
Oh
What about
man!
or their skin?
If that was true, you know Kirk would have been using that.
Oh fuck.
Phasered your clothes off.
They're like, this will be a cool
Sorry.
gag. Fuck whatever the logic is behind it.
Once again, pretty sure there's a porn parody of this.
Well, we know that the phasers can vaporize stuff, but we know that they also don't vaporize stuff if they're not, you know, set right. So I think like the phaser just, it's really a guessing game. As like, there's probably a knob that goes from 0 to 10, but if you're like in between 7 and 8, you maybe like vaporize half a guy or vaporize his clothes, or you're not really sure. But if you're fully at 8, you'll vaporize, you know,
That's a
most
good
of his
point.
organs. And then if you go back down to 3, then you'll cut him or something. You just cut him open or whatever.
What is the
I don't know.
And when they kill the guys in the ship, when they kill the assassins to cover their tracks, when Kim Cattrall kills the assassins to cover her tracks, she stuns them at close range in the head, which kills them apparently. So setting your phaser to stun, but blasting somebody right in the noggin is enough to kill them. What are the other like settings? Because we always hear set phasers to stun, but like what is it?
Tickle.
What do they call it? To kill? Is it to
No, tickle.
Oh, tickle. Yeah. that makes sense to me. Like if this is because they never say set phasers to like 6.5. They're always like set phasers to stun. So I just need to know: is there a tickle level? Is there a kill level? Is there like an
You bet your
eviscerate
ass
level?
there is.
Is there like a blow up level?
Yeah, Harris, you're always talking about, you know, the porn parodies, and you're literally writing one here.
But
To
I'm
kill?
asking a
No,
legit-
tickle.
I think I think I'm actually asking a legit question. In addition to writing the greatest Star Trek porn parody ever.
Yeah, that's what I'm pretty sure what I was saying before you asked the question was the answer to the question.
No, because you said you were explaining about numbers on a phaser, which nobody's ever talked about in the history of these Star Trek movies. That
Yeah,
we've
that's
seen.
my theory. Is like it has maybe
Yeah,
a dial or some
I
kind of.
think it's more like a burner, you know, like low,
Yeah, right.
medium,
Okay,
high,
but what are the
high.
but my question wasn't do these things exist? My question is what are the other levels besides stun? And you did not answer that. Nobody's answered that. There is no answer.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
think it's
like
just stun
all the
or
way
kill.
to the left is stun, and all the way to
We
the
need to
right is
check
kill,
Star Trek
and like.
Wiki.
So you think it's two settings: stun or kill?
Actually, no. Here's how I think it is. I think it's like.
But why do they never say set phasers to kill? Do they?
I mean, I'm sure they did.
I think they're always
I
on
think
kill,
so.
and then they have to say set them to stun.
Really?
So I think it's like, you know how the what's it called? Like an odometer has like the green, the yellow, the red, and it's like one of those kind of meters, and like green is all the like non-lethal, and then yellow and red are like to kill, and then further into the red is like to vaporize into dust. That's what I think it is.
Well, that sounds like a bunch of bullshit that you just made up.
Because sometimes they say set it on maximum, and they don't say set it on kill, which I assume means that maximum is more than kill.
I'm Googling right now.
I'm watching the final like action set piece here, where the Enterprise is facing off with Chang and his ship. It's a pretty good scene. There's a lot of Shakespeare going on.
Yeah.
Oh my god, so much.
Once more onto the breach, my friends.
General Chang
Okay.
really under-strategized. Like, he knew he had a ship that could cloak while firing, but he did not have any kind of backup plan for if they had any kind of countermeasure against that. And that's why he failed.
And what was the counter? How did they figure out how to find him? That they tracked like the exhaust of the ship or something.
Yes, because the Enterprise, the Enterprise is like a science ship. They said like
Plasma.
we have a bunch of science stuff that's made to like
right.
find
I
every
remember.
kind of
They were
gas.
studying
there is.
gaseous
Yeah.
anomalies. Or
Yeah,
something.
so we're assuming that thing can, that thing has some kind of tailpipe. There's a lot of references to stuff that they would not think about, that's from our time, but whatever. Like, you would never think about, you never think about the fact that original automobiles had to be cranked to start. So you would never be like, oh, well, maybe the car has a cranker or something. Like, and
Right.
they're so
It's
far
so
past
far
that.
out of our-
that they'd be like,
yeah.
oh, yeah, maybe it has a tailpipe. Maybe because they went to the 80s in Star Trek 4. I don't know.
That would be cool if they threw back a line like, "Do you remember when we went back to 1987 and cars had those weird holes in the back with smoke coming out of them?"
Yeah, it would be even cooler if they had the whales on the ship with them with little headsets that translated their mental. It's just
They were tracking them via sonar.
Yeah, the whales should have been characters. They should have been like, oh yeah, once we brought the whales back, one of them, they had babies and there's more whales. It's a whole species now. And then we developed a device to put on the whales' heads, and it tells us
Blowholes.
Yeah, it translates their whale stuff into our language, and now we keep one on the ship, and he talks to us, and he's actually an expert in a lot of things, and has really helped us out, or she, whatever.
It turns out the whales are way smarter than any
Yeah.
other species. They are knowledgeable of all things past and present, future.
I
Yeah, they
think
just
that was
started-
actually a thing that happened in Sequest, which was basically Star Trek on a submarine. They had a dolphin that was on the ship and would communicate with them and could talk.
I hate that. I absolutely hate that.
It would be a really hilarious side note if after all Harris is bitching about Star Trek, that he's actually a huge Sequest fan.
This is where all my resentment stems
hell?
from. I'm like, Sequest is actually a superior show in many respects.
He's like, cowboys in space? Fuck that. Cowboys underwater.
Are you guys curious about what I've researched on the Star
Tell
Trek
us.
phasers?
Sure.
Please.
So
Sure.
this is from the book.
What book?
Apparently some book that codifies it. Because I looked up what it was in the show, and apparently they changed it so often on the show and on the movies that there was never any
that.
standard for anything. They pretty much just made it up as it goes along. It could blast through a rock quarry wall and a tunnel. It could heat food up. It could it could cut through steel. It was just whatever it needed to be. But in the book they codified it as 1 is stun, and it could daze a living thing, and 2 is heavy stun, meaning it would knock a living thing unconscious, and kill was 3, that would make something die, and then heat is setting 4, and it would speed up molecules till they get hot, and 5 is disrupt, which separates molecules to blow them up, and 6 is dematerialize, which just vaporizes things.
Cool.
But there's not.
I'm watching the. Sorry.
But there's
Go
not
Yeah,
more
definitely
than
change the subject to whatever you're watching that the people. All
there's not more than one version of the vaporize though. So the vaporizing someone's clothes off thing is actually, it's not official.
No, I guess not. But I mean, I guess you could always vaporize somebody's clothes off. The only problem is there's no guarantee that you wouldn't also vaporize them.
Damn.
So there's 100% chance that their clothes would be vaporized, though. So I guess it depends on where your priorities are. All right, Matt, tell us about this movie that you're watching.
That was quite riveting. I'm glad I didn't interrupt it. Yeah, I'm watching. I don't remember what the fuck I was gonna say. I'm watching the destruction of the Enterprise right now, and I saw the kitchen explode. So yeah, I must have missed that the first time. It happens for about a half a fucking second. But yeah,
Nice.
this part's pretty fucking rad.
Nice. Yeah.
Good input, Matt. I'm watching this movie and it's pretty fucking rad.
I love what you're saying.
That's what
Yeah.
keep going.
I want to
Well,
go.
hey, at least we know what a 5 means on the fucking phaser, okay?
I want to go back to why
Dorks.
I want to go back to why Chandler hates talking dolphins or other sea life that can talk.
Okay, it's well documented that dolphins are rapists. And they're just too high pitched, and they're large, and they look slimy.
Oh.
And I think their teeth look weird. And if they were like upright and like talking to me on a submarine, I would feel so unsafe. I don't fucking think so.
Be like,
I
don't want to
no.
hear what this rapist has to say. I don't care about his side of the story.
Chandler, if you think we haven't discussed dolphins raping people on this podcast before, you are sorely mistaken.
So you guys get it. So why the fuck are you pro dolphin?
Like they can't all be rapists, can they?
I don't know. I don't know
I
what
don't
to
know
say to
all
that.
dolphins.
Yeah.
I'll say.
Yeah.
I guess we can't generalize
maybe.
This is like we're having our own undiscovered country right here. It's like the dolphin people, they want to make peace. They want to wear headsets that make them talk so they can interact with us. And we're over here in our human lives saying they're all rapists. Don't trust them.
I feel like if they had a voice, a lot of them would just be making excuses for why they raped other things. Be like, yeah. Like that would be the true or false. That would be the first thing they'd want to clear up, right?
Yeah.
They'd be like, hey, we hear you guys talking. We know what you're saying about us. Got to clarify some things. It's mostly just Jeff.
It's almost like Flipper.
And we're all kind of annoyed by him.
Yeah. It's almost like Flipper was our last best hope for peace.
Yeah.
I don't want excuses. I want behavior change. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't think that's too much to ask.
And when you do it with a porpoise.
Oh my god.
Well, I'll be damned.
But so like it's okay if it's like whales then. So if it's like Free Willy, even though they're like very like vicious hunting type animals that kill other animals. Like if it's like a talking Free Willy guy, you'd be more comfortable.
Honestly, the ocean makes me uncomfortable and nervous.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
I just want to stay out of it.
I hear what you're saying. I'm with you.
no, you're not. Harris is a Sequest man all the way. We know that.
Who played?
Who was on Sequest? Who was the star of it?
Well, Jonathan Brandis was the dolphin keeper.
You should have pretended you didn't know.
No,
was Roy Scheider on that show?
Oh yeah, that's right. He was the captain. Oh my God, the great Roy
Yeah.
Scheider. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look
Talk
him up.
about it.
From Jaws. He's
yeah.
He's
Oh.
what's his name?
Talk about an overreach for like the guy you're building your series around. That seems
was old
seems
on that show,
overqualified
too.
for that. I didn't know anybody besides Jonathan Brandis, who was basically the Wesley Crusher of the show.
So that guy's
Right.
whole career is like
Aw.
pretending to look at water.
Yeah.
Roy Scheider?
Yeah. Right?
He was
He's
in
real typecast.
he was in other movies.
That people
Name
remember.
them.
I don't know. Jaws and Sequest. What else you got?
Marathon Man, The French Connection. Like he was
Oh,
he
The
was
French
like a
Connection.
huge star in the 70s.
Never heard of those.
France has like multiple coastlines.
The French Connection was not set in France. It was in
Seems like a missed opportunity.
set in New
to
York
me.
City. You guys have nobody here has ever seen The French Connection.
Not even in Canada. Wow.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. I guess
And a movie about a marathon?
Yeah,
Roy
Don't sign
Scheider-
me up.
I'm tired. I'm already tired.
Yeah, I'm tired.
No, it wasn't about a marathon. It was about an escaped Nazi trying to pull all Dustin Hoffman's teeth out to torture him. How do you guys not know anything about movies?
A visit to the dentist? No, thanks. Movies are supposed to be escapism.
And you're telling me Marathon Man has nothing to
Are
do
you sure
with
this
Demolition
isn't Little
Man?
Shop of Horrors? It sounds very
Yeah.
Steve Martin.
Yeah.
No?
Wait, he was in that Matt Damon lawyer movie.
The Rainmaker?
Yes, he was in the Rainmaker.
Rainmaker, that's water right there. That's water.
The Martian?
Yeah, exactly.
Again, you can't just go by the titles because that didn't have anything to do with water. It didn't have anything to do with rain.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
Rain Man.
It's not about
Prove us wrong, Harris.
it's not about
Prove us wrong.
France or dentists or marathons or whatever. Rain. None of these movies are about what they're. Maybe that's the real problem with these movies. Maybe their popularity would have lasted longer if they named themselves more accurately.
Yeah, it should
We need
always.
on the nose titles, please.
Yeah, it should always
We're
be really
Americans.
clear.
We are dumb.
Should always
Yeah.
be really
Lead
clear.
us to the water and then
To
feed us the water.
Lead us to
So
the
I
water
guess-
and allow us
I
to stare
guess-
at it and
I
pretend
guess if I was
that
going to
something's
rename
happening.
them, it would be cop car chase movie, Nazi torture movie,
I don't want to see those.
and Matt Damon lawyer movie, which I already kind of named.
Even
Yeah.
Jaws was originally called Danger Shark.
I think that's not bad.
So have we learned anything from? Has this movie taught us anything?
Movies
about
should always
life?
be called what they are, like Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, a movie about a country. Oh, damn it.
Good job.
I wanted to do that earlier, and then I was like interrupting y'all, and I got like, I felt bad, and then I was like, oh fuck.
Well, we learned a bunch of Roy Scheider movies that aren't about water.
I'll believe it when I see
Oh,
it.
he played
None.
Bob Fosse and all that jazz.
Jazz is the water of music.
It's actually all that jizz, and that's a liquid.
That's the porn parody.
We learned Kirk has a WAP.
And priapism, probably.
Praxis is not ED medication, like we thought.
Yeah, we learned that everyone must decide whether they prefer their clone or a shapeshifter that looks like them.
Yep.
I learned that double hand mind melding with a woman will bring her to the most intense orgasm achievable.
I knew that already.
Oy.
Colin's always just putting his hands on women's face.
Why do you keep uncovering my face?
Quiet. You'll feel it in a second.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
Don't ruin this for me.
Get the- I'm gonna get treated like a fucking sentient dolphin walker after that. Doing shit
We
like
learned that the Enterprise needs a lot of squeegees. The Excelsior, not as many, but still a significant amount.
I feel like we took, everything about this movie and made it really gross.
Or was the movie really gross and we just kind of noticed?
I mean, it's a disgusting snuff film.
I don't know. I'm confused.
Klingons bleed Pepto-Bismol.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
I
important.
learned that in the Star Trek world, if you want to make a place look like another planet, you just like slightly change it to like a purple hue.
Yes, that is
You just
true.
film anywhere in Southern California and just slightly change the color.
I mean, if you were paying attention during Star Trek V, I think there was a little bit of that there too.
There's
yeah.
a ton of that. Yeah, I learned it from that film as well.
Well, I learned that over quoting Shakespeare is punishable by death. You
Explosion.
will get blown up.
Yeah.
You guys like the scene where Spock and Bones are working on the torpedo, and they're like saying little quips like "We got a heartbeat," and
Ugh. Want to do surgery on a rocket?
Yeah.
Kirk was like, "What did you say about my rocket?"
Yeah, once again, very, very possibly a great scene in the porn parody. This may be potentially the greatest porn parody specific franchise Star Trek movie to do, because I feel like they had, Bones and Spock working on each other's rockets,
yeah.
and in all the Kirk stuff, obviously. He actually makes out in this one, which he doesn't even get to make out in the one where
There's a woman like really into him.
Yeah, exactly. Which one is that? 4?
Are you talking about 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
she
the
leaves her apartment
the
and
lady
her
from
job
Seventh Heaven.
to
Yeah, the
go
lady
to
from
the
Seventh Heaven
future,
moves to space to be with Captain Kirk, and then ends up deciding, no, not really. At the end,
I like whales.
That's why you know
better.
that.
Yeah.
That's why you know that San Francisco rent is too high.
Yeah, you learned that from that movie.
Yeah.
I also learned from this movie that there's always one guy in the audience who claps with his arms outstretched like this. Did you guys see that guy?
that guy
That's
is frequently me. I like to do that as like a joke.
With your stupid like alien mask that you're wearing.
Yeah, that's how they do it on that planet, though. I feel like I learned that they need some damn seatbelts.
Oh yeah.
So everyone doesn't end up in a pile on one side of the bridge just because when they go through a little turbulence.
I still disagree.
Listen, Colin, you can disagree all you want, but when everyone's falling out of their chairs like idiots when they're trying to fly the ship, like Sulu was literally yelling commands from like between the guy's legs that steers the ship. He's like yelling up through his legs like, steer to the left or something, and that guy's like, I'm glad I'm wearing my seatbelt. I'm the only one in this entire fucking bridge that wore his
Roll
seatbelt.
into the wave.
Yeah.
I mean, you can apply this to school buses. They still don't have seatbelts, right? Like, are our kids meaningless to you, society?
Fuck them kids, I believe, is a popular quote in the zeitgeist.
I think that's
especially recently.
I've seen that on the poster about the school bus seatbelts. It's like, fuck them kids.
Fuck them kids. Send them back to school. Whatever.
Yeah.
I have feelings about it.
I also learned that we all probably need to bone up on our Shakespeare read in the original Klingon, because I'm sure iambic
Yes.
pentameter sounds great in those weird made-up grunting sounds that make up the Klingon language.
I learned that Shakespeare might have actually been Klingon.
Possibly. We don't know. Yeah.
Maybe.
That it was.
You know, it could have been like a Klingon accidentally time traveled and specifically came in contact with Shakespeare. Like, that would be a great episode of Star Trek.
I think you have to be a fan of the show to think that that would be a great episode of Star Trek.
I think that would be a great episode. That's a great next gen episode with Worf. Worf! It was Worf.
Yes.
Worf is Shakespeare.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Boom.
That sounds
Yes.
just dumb enough to be an actual thing. I half expect Colin. Colin to be like, "Oh, actually, no." In Star Trek: The Next Generation, they totally did that.
And like, it would be so good because it would also be an opportunity, because in Shakespearean times, the men dressed as women, you get Worf dressed as a woman, which is, I mean, that's entertainment, right?
Wait,
Or is that wrong? would that be like, is that too much of a trope or
Sounds
something?
like
is that wrong?
something-
I don't know
specific
where you're
you
getting your
like.
facts about Shakespeare times. It's not.
The men dressed as women to play the
Oh
women.
There were
like,
females
there were-
weren't allowed to
there
be
were
actors.
actors that yes.
Exactly.
I don't think Worf.
So they had to play the women part.
I imagine Worf as like a Mrs. Doubtfire. kind of
Yeah, I
thing
feel like
going on.
Worf
Yeah,
is
exactly.
not playing like the female lead of. Like, they find somebody else.
Yeah, but Shakespeare's like, look, man, I'm really glad you taught me about Klingon culture because I'm really going to use this in my like writing and stuff. But I need you, bro. I need you to come be in this play because like my other guy got the plague.
We need a
And we need
6'5", 280-pound woman with a beard for this scene.
Yeah, and we gotta hide her.
I
for
have
it.
an extremely wet ass human pussy.
That's not iambic pentameter, man.
Oh yeah. Art what thou is wet alien pussy. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh God.
Good try.
I think we've lost the thread there.
What from yonder pussy?
This movie taught me that if I ever want to know what upset my stomach, that I should have the USS Excelsior collect my farts for their gaseous anomalies catalog.
You weren't already doing that?
I submit them to every science facility I can come across in little jars. Please help me.
He's got so many restraining orders from science facilities.
Does that mean you're carrying little jars around with you just in case you meet a scientist?
Yeah, don't you?
Yeah, we all do.
I like how they made Sulu the captain, and that's his job, just collecting space farts from different planets.
Guess what? He's really fucking good at it.
I like the smell of them.
Good for Sulu. I'm proud of him. I'm so proud of him in this movie.
I do think that's cool that, like, I'm pretty sure, I don't remember where I heard this or where I read this or whatever, that he was like, yeah, like, I'll always want to keep coming back and being Sulu, but I really think the character Sulu should do more than just be this guy who says, like, oh, we're going left now or whatever, you know, like, I want something better for him. And they were like, oh, well, I guess we'll make him a captain.
Yeah, he was bumping his
At
head
some
on the
point.
glass ceiling there for a while. Because like Kirk must have become a captain when he was like very young, and yet it seems like all these other people who get promoted, like Riker in the latest one, it's like these guys are in their 50s by the time
Yeah.
they make captain.
It's weird that, like, it's a super unique situation where you have someone, they're playing the same character for like 30 years. Eventually they have to argue for the character's career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like they're not arguing for their
Yeah,
own
right.
career.
It's like-
They're arguing for the character's. It's a weird
Unless they're
situation.
Or
just
they're
like-
arguing that Starfleet has no upward mobility.
True. Yeah, because
Yeah.
well, apparently the captains stay until they reach like 80. So you know, as Kirk has proven. So yeah,
If they're good.
So apparently there's not a lot of openings available. The one time they were going to give a young guy the captain spot, Kirk just stole it right out from under him and then let him become vaporized into some space deity.
I mean, a lot of characters that get no characterization die in the Star Trek universe. So you have to deal with that. Like, there's a high turnover of just like getting killed by the dangers of space.
And I guess it's possible that these people just aren't very good at their job. I totally buy that for Chekhov. He could be there forever. Like, he just doesn't seem.
He's so lucky. He's so lucky. The other
he
ones
stumbled into this perfect situation where he's like, I'm constantly. I can't even pronounce the word vessels, and I'm constantly fucking everything up and tripping over my own feet. And everyone clowns me all the time, but at least
Sir, I still make minimum wage.
I'd love a scene where it's just Kirk and Chekhov, and Kirk is coming clean, like, look, I don't know what I'm doing out here. I'm a fucking walking boner, and Chekhov just comes right back at him like, sir, I'm barely competent.
I am not smart.
We are still alive.
Functionally
this is good.
illiterate. I don't know what any of these buttons do. I just press them. Somebody looks at me. I press a button. I go, hey, aye.
We just did so many accents.
They're bad.
I can't
They're
do it. Yeah, I know. Chandler, give us a Russian accent.
She's frozen.
No, she's she's.
I was pretending to be
She was
frozen.
horrified by that Russian accent.
I'm Ensign Chekhov, Pavel Andreevich, sir. That's my Antonio.
That was pretty good.
I
pretty
miss him.
Yeah.
Victor too.
With that, I think we need to move on to us writing our signatures
Yeah.
in the credit sequence.
Oh yeah.
Endgame stole that. Are you aware of that? That
I
Avengers
didn't realize that's
Endgame-
what they got it from, or we just pretending.
I didn't
that's
either
what
until I
happened?
watched this movie, and then I said, "Hey,
Whoa.
hey now."
It was their swan song.
Mm-hmm. I think it's cool. I feel a little ashamed that my signature is like just like a squiggly line, basically.
Yeah, mine's shit.
But no, don't forge me. Don't forge me. But yeah. It's,
Well,
it's a
I have to
squiggly
say that
line.
I think there's two. I thought the same thing, especially with like DeForest Kelley and Shatner's W. The rest of his signature is kind of shit, but the W is like very specific and distinct. And then I realized two differences. One, these guys are all much older. When you kind of like your signature was actually kind of a verification, and it was important to have a distinct signature just in general. And more importantly, these guys are famous celebrities whose signatures actually, like, they go to these conventions, they sign their name a billion times, and people will try to forge their name and sell it. So like they have to, and especially for this, in this circumstance where their signatures are probably super recognizable to the fans, they have to have a specific distinct signature. So I don't feel that bad about mine just being an X.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind that it's at one point in these people's careers, their career was like occasionally like packing up their own personal car and going and like sitting at a little folding table and being like, I'll sign stuff for you.
Of course,
Like-
I think that would actually be an argument for a less elaborate signature, because I can sign my signature real fast and I don't even have to sign it that often. If I was them, I definitely would have been using the X.
I'm changing my signature from now on. It's just going to be WAP, and then I'm going to spit on the paper.
Ew.
That's like all you want to
Yep.
talk about
That's
tonight.
right. It's come back again and again.
I love it. Let's rate this fucking movie, please.
All right.
Um,
On a scale of 0 to WAP.
wop wop wop. There's some hoes in this house. I'll go first. I haven't gone first in a while. I really like this movie. I think it does. It feels to me like the culmination of 6 movies that tried a lot of things. They figured out what worked and what didn't work, and like everything was just going. Everything was just popping off on this movie. They got all the character stuff right. They have enough like deep backstory of movies now that they could like make. They're self-referential, and there was a couple of little like they mentioned Kobayashi Maru at some point, and like I don't know. There's enough character stuff there that it feels complete. If it felt earned. I think, like I said earlier, the effects are good. They're finally up to snuff for a movie of this caliber, where technology had reached like where it needed to be for the most part, aside from that weird blood stuff, which I'm sure was cool at the time. I thought the music in this was really good. I don't know who did the score, but I don't think it was anyone who's ever done it before, if I'm correct. Does anyone know? Can anyone fact check me? No? Okay, great. Yeah, the music was good, different.
Cliff Eldelman.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, don't know. Free Willy 3 is his other his other big credit.
We're back to like Wales again.
It all comes back to Wales.
Full circle. Yeah, I think the villain was cool, although he's obviously like a little reminiscent of Khan, and they were trying to go for a similar thing there. But hey, it worked before, so why not do it again? It was different enough. And I like the makeup, costumes, all the Klingon stuff. I do like the allegory for, the Chernobyl and like the fall of the USSR and all that stuff. I think that was cool and still kind of holds up. And I think, there's like a lot of this movie is about racism and like the untrusting of the other and that sort of thing. And I think that plays well in 2020, it's somehow relevant again, sadly. And so, yeah, I think there was enough comedy in this movie. Everything really kind of worked for me, but for some reason, like, I don't know, it doesn't hold a candle to Voyage Home for me. It's right up there.
They're old.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
It's probably because they're old.
It could be because they're old. I mean, the 5 o'clock shadows helped. The snow stuff, the cast, the prison, the courtroom scenes. Like, I don't know. It just had a lot of cool stuff going for it. I thought the first couple of scenes were banging. Like, the movie starts off literally with a bang. And then, like, the whole scene with Sulu and his ship, like, the way it's directed and the lines are delivered is all very great. To quote someone from school, like a very lean forward kind of moments, stuff like that. The next scene with Kirk and his crew, like at the table being told about the Klingon situation, and then Spock comes in and, admits that he put Kirk forward. He whatever submitted him. I thought that scene was great. Like it all was really working for a long time. And I don't know what it is that doesn't make this like a perfect movie for me. I don't know, but there's something. I can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe it is maybe the villain is not as good as I don't know. I don't know. It's a mystery. Maybe one of you guys can illuminate the errors of this movie. But all said and done, I think this is a solid 7 Timothy Dolphins.
I don't want to go next.
Colin wants to go last so he can like inflate this score if I give it a terrible score. That's his whole plan here.
And he likes to elongate the show by 20 minutes.
Yeah, he's gonna.
Colin just pulled out his Klingon hair.
Yeah, I'm interested in what you guys have to say.
Don't let what
I've seen this.
Don't let what I'm gonna say
the
impact
most.
How you feel about the movie.
It's not. I've seen this movie. I've seen this movie way more times than anyone in this podcast. Like all the times, all three of you.
Chandler, bring out your dad.
Is like a
Mike,
very small
get
percentage
out here.
of the number of times I've seen it.
So you've had the most time to think of your score. You must be ready.
Oh yeah, I mean, no, I'm not ready. Because I'm interested.
Harris,
I'm interested.
just go.
Like it's more interesting.
It's
for
more
me
interesting
to,
for you
like,
if you can go last and wait the score. I like this movie. I think the pacing was great. I think, like you said, there's some real excitement there. I think having not to say that, I think Nimoy did a pretty good job directing. But I feel like having a really good director who, obviously nailed it with Wrath of Khan and is back doing another great, like, just solid job directing this. Script was good. I think all the things you said, I basically agree with everything Matt said. I think what it was missing for me was like, it was funny, but the jokes didn't quite land, and it pointed out some of the absurdities in like a funny kind of self-aware way, but didn't pull them off as well as Voyage Home did. I feel like it wasn't as emotional as Khan. Like it wanted to be, but it just didn't have the stakes of that. I just felt like a lot of the things, and it had a good kind of twisty, complex plot, but it almost didn't. And I love that they separated them out and had, Kirk and Bones in the prison and the other guys doing the investigation. But it wasn't necessarily, it had lean forward moments, but it wasn't like an edge of your seat type of thing. So even though I thought it was a brisk pace, it wasn't like I was like, ooh, I wonder what's going to happen with the great investigation. You know, it was like I was just waiting for another pleasant scene.
It was more so the beginning.
Yeah,
I felt like the beginning was really compelling.
In the end, I think it picked up pace towards the end, too.
Yeah.
And it had a lot of clever moments and a lot of really smart stuff. I thought it was probably a really good script they were working with. And I thought they gave the cast, who we all like know and like at this point, plenty of good stuff to do, and they all got to have their moments. And we made fun of Scotty hustling his big ass up those stairs to shoot the sniper, but like that was nice. I was glad they did it. I was like, at first I was like, why? And then I realized, oh, it's because he really hadn't done much this show.
Is there an elevator in this place?
So yeah. So I thought, I didn't like this as much as Voyage Home, which I think I gave a 6. But I liked it, enough that I'm not going to give it a 5. I'm going to give this one a 6 as well. If I had to differentiate, I would be more inclined to bump Voyage Home up to a 7, but I think I'm just going to stick with 6s for both of them, because they were at the end of this one, I felt the same way I felt at the end of Voyage Home. Like, it's not changing my life or whatever, but I was like, oh, that was a pleasant way to spend a couple hours. And it was short too. It was like, a little over
it's under 2 hours.
It's like 100 minutes, 110 minutes, something like that. Anyways. Yeah. So I give it a 6 Timothy Dolphins. All right.
That's great.
Colin, are you ready, or do you want to go last?
Oh, wait. Yeah, what?
I want to go last.
I'm ready. It's fine. It should be noted, though.
It's not because
Colin took out his hair tie and his locks are free flowing, so he's
they're more than free flowing. They're like they're fighting a whole revolution against my fucking scalp.
Against us. No, against Harris.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this movie. We didn't actually talk about this a lot, but I really enjoyed the relationship between Spock and Valeris, Kim Cattrall.
Yeah.
It was very, Sherlock and Watson, and it ended up being like Vader, or not Vader, technically, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and he's grooming her, and he has high hopes for her, and ultimately you see his disappointment in what she's done, and I tracked their emotional journey the entire time, which is interesting to say because they're both Vulcan, and I thought Spock had a very interesting line in the beginning of the movie that logic is the beginning of wisdom and not the end. And I did think there were some prophetic lines in the script, even though sometimes it's a little cheesy, a little hacky, but you love to see it. Ultimately, I thought the story really worked well. I thought it was actually very clean storytelling. It really, for me, felt like a extra long episode of television. Like you said, Harris, them separating out the stories, and I enjoyed all the stories, and they made sense. And for me, the emotion was there, and the motivation was there. It is a little cringy to see how things don't age well with the General Chang. And
love his chicken, though.
Oh, shut up. Or is it Admiral Chang? Doesn't matter.
I think it's General.
It's problematic. But no, I thought it was fun, and I laughed out loud. And Christian Slater.
Wait, you laughed out loud at Christian Slater?
He gets in one entire dolphin. I gasped and screamed. Again, I was very happy to see Sulu move forward. It was a good time, and I think it was like an hour 45 or hour 50. So it cruised for me.
Way shorter than this podcast.
Yeah, these poor bastards. But yeah, right on the money. I think I'm gonna give it a 7. Timothy Dolphin. Timothy Dolphin?
Yeah. Have you ever seen that episode of The Office where they change, ownership of who the corporate owners are, and they get a video that explains they're now owned by a different company, and the host of it is Christian Slater playing himself.
Playing himself.
I love that. I love that. I would love just like a bunch of nonsensical videos explaining the obvious by Christian Slater, like just in life. You know what I mean? Like you're now it's time for you to get ready for bed. You're gonna need to brush your teeth. You can use any kind of brush. Probably a toothbrush is what you want. But it's like Christian Slater on a video screen, and I don't know. I'm not sure that actually sounds
Cut
good.
all this.
I don't know. I kind of want to see Christian Slater in anything, doing anything.
All right, yeah. Okay, so we understand. The voice I was doing didn't sound like him.
It actually
so
sounded like I think Colonel Sanders is who you were thinking of.
Christian Slater's hard to do.
There.
He's kind of like a Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, you got to do like a
Yeah.
poor man's Jack
Yeah,
Nicholson.
very, very
Yeah,
pinched.
tighten up your face a little bit.
You know how the KFC was using a bunch of different random actors to be the Colonel, and like
Yes.
it was supposed
Christian
to be
Slater would have been a good one.
Christian Slater Colonel would have been
Damn.
a very interesting
Never
choice.
too late.
Yep. All right, so you gonna give it to you want to
anyways.
skip the Timothy Dolphins at this point? Let's just move on.
So here's what I think about this movie. There's some things it did really well. We're a podcast about franchises, and we've looked at Mission Impossible, and we showed how they took it from being very individual movies into making it a franchise. This movie really did a good job of tying up a lot of the loose ends of the sequels before it. It focused heavily on what Kirk actually thought about his son dying. It showed that Spock had in fact accepted the fact that he is half human, and those are big, like, kind of overarching stories of those characters that go throughout the movies. And so it was successful in that, and it's a really good it's a really, really good script. It's just like, we're gonna do a space whodunit, and we're gonna try to, like Matt said, they did stuff where it was like referential of itself and things like that. I feel like a lot of the jokes don't always land, like Harris was saying, and I do think it's kind of weird that they are aging. I like it, I'm not ageist, and like I think it's cool, but it's different. It's different than what we're used to. We're not gonna see a movie like that going to the theaters. I mean, they made like Space Cowboys or whatever, where they intentionally get old people, and they're like, oh, this is an old people movie or whatever. But we're not seeing things where it's like, oh, we're trying to make a Star Trek movie, and this is actually a property from 30 years ago, so they are in fact old. So I don't know, it's a little strange. Whatever, I'm getting off track. I think that of the 6 original series cast Star Trek motion picture feature-length movies, this is the most accessible. Maybe partially because it's comes in the 90s when they have the budget to make the special effects and things they needed to make the movie work. But I think that it being basically a space whodunit, like it taking advantage of another genre, makes it super accessible. The way it's directed to be, like you were saying, it's slightly episodic, but it still keeps you interested. It's not too long. It's a super accessible movie. Now, when I was younger, that made it like seem much better. It was like, this is one of the best ones. Now that I'm older, and I think some of what you guys experienced, that we've gone through this journey together of watching all 6 in a row, is that it being the most accessible is actually something I don't like about it anymore, because it doesn't have that like mystique of being something kind of weird and offbeat. Like, I guess it's maybe the fact that we're all trying to be hipsters because we're, zennials or whatever. But yeah, it's like, it's not as cool that it has more broad appeal to me. I don't know where you guys are at on that. Harris just never wants me to like continue talking.
No, I'm just always I'm just curious always how long you'll go.
Exactly, but sometimes I'm wondering what you think about what I'm saying, but I feel like you're a little wrapped up.
No. I'm
in wondering how long.
I'm definitely listening. I think as usual, sometimes your overexposure to these things leads you to like them more, and I think maybe in this case, this one is wearing on you a little bit, and stuff that seemed new and fresh to us. Because like I didn't realize they did start like this is the most divergent from the typical Star Trek plot, because it's a whodunit, it's a prison break, and it's, seeking peace on a diplomatic mission, and all, it's a lot of different ideas that I haven't seen before, which is exciting to me, but you kind of were already familiar with this, and God knows they probably had these things worked through the shows at various times, so not as fresh for you. So I kind of get what you're saying, that like you see the qualities of this, and yet it's not a fresh thing for you. One other thing I thought was interesting that you said was that these guys are old, and how often do we get to see people at that age in this kind of role? Tom Cruise will be the same age as William Shatner when the next Mission Impossible movie comes out, as William Shatner was in this movie. He won't look it, but just for the record.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is a good point. It's really interesting.
Wait, did you rate this thing yet?
He wants our reactions. He was
sure.
soliciting feedback on his commentary before he.
All of Colin Nation right now is listening to this and just chanting 9, 9.
This sounds like this could be his lowest score ever for a Star Trek movie, which would be what, an 8?
I'm trying to get my lean forward moment. Like
He gave 4 a 7.
Yeah.
I gave 4 a 7.
Yeah, so he doesn't like the good ones.
That can't be right. That can't be right. I gave Star Trek 4 a 7. That's wrong.
Oh, maybe you gave it a 9.
Your information is wrong. I gave it a 9.
I think that was the one where
sounds...
Harris gave us the scores, and he's like, I don't remember who said what here, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was 2 9s and a 7 there. Colin's definitely one of the 9s. If Colin gave a Star Trek movie, let alone a good Star Trek movie, a 7, I would be shocked. But
I was gonna give it a 7 if you all 3 gave it a 7, but Harris gave it a 6, so I'm gonna give it an 8.
I knew he was gonna do that when I called it. I totally saw that.
I didn't want to do that, but then
and you wouldn't have been able to if I hadn't gone before you.
You're giving it 8 what though?
Timothy Dolphin.
All right.
I just kind of wanted to. Sometimes I feel like I have a point, but I'm not sure if I'm getting the words right to express it. So sometimes I want to know if you guys are like following and with me on.
Maybe I should like nod my head yes when I'm following, because like you have that when you have a point, and the fact that you never know if you're making your point or not is bad 2 ways. Because when you don't know you're making your point, you just keep on going on and nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. And when you are making your point, you keep on going on, and I'm like, God, I think he said this already. But no, I thought that was a good. I understood everything you said. I think you made a great point. I think we get great Timothy Dolphin ratings. I think we should actually end this podcast by talking about something we didn't talk about, which is the end of the movie, where Kirk steals the ship and decides to just like, I don't know what to make of that, and I guess we're gonna find out when we watch Generations what happened. But as far as I know, he just committed the theft of a starship.
I like to imagine that they just keep going until Starfleet just keeps calling them, and they're like, "Are you going to come back now?" And they're like, "Oh, maybe." And they don't find anything. Like
they find nothing new.
There's 2 ways it can go. They get another adventure, or they just kind of cruise for a while until Starfleet keeps calling them over and over and over to come back.
I mean, we collected a bunch of gases, if you guys want that.
Yeah. We do.
I have a theory, and this would be my version of a reboot of this whole franchise. Would be the movie about how the crazy captain took the whole crew basically hostage, because it's like, yeah, sure, Uhura and Sulu and everybody, Chekhov and everybody, like, give him the nod, like, yeah, let's do it, yeah. Nobody asked the squeegee guy where he stood on this, if he was ready for a couple more years of floating around in space. So they run out of gas, the ship's disabled, the captain's insane, he won't call for help, and there's some poor kid who works in the squeegee department who's got to like overthrow the captain and take the ship back, or they're all going to die.
This is where the score is doing a lot of work. Like the music is like, oh yeah, I'm sure they're all fine with it because
Yeah.
this music is playing.
Yep. We would see the score just shift into like a minor key later, and then just pan down through the decks until you got to the lowest deck, where the poor squeegee guy would be like, "I thought we were. Wait, this doesn't feel like we're docking."
I really like this last scene. I like in movies, or especially when they know, like, that it's the last one, that they really give it a good, like, it felt like a last movie to me. You know, they gave it a good send off. He's disobeying the higher ups once again, which is a very classic Kirk maneuver. And the whole crew is with him. They're like, yeah, if you're going to prison, we are too.
We've done it before.
Yeah. Yeah, it was beautiful. They fly off, they boldly go, and then they warp right into like a star and die.
Because of fucking Chekhov.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a Sulu. Nobody's driving the fucking thing.
Exactly.
Chekhov, you're willing to go to prison with me? Captain, I barely know what I'm doing.
Captain.
I still make minimum wage. And I always will. Thanks to this current presidency. All right, well, I'd like to shift gears a little bit away from Star Trek, and it's time to announce our next series. If you're a Patreon member, you might know already what we're doing, but we're doing a little something special for October. We're doing a little something spooky. We gave a couple of clues out on the Patreon, but we're finally gonna announce what it is right now. It's a movie series that starts back in 1973, I believe. It's a horror franchise. There are 5 of them. It's none other than the classic Exorcist series of films. That's right. You may have seen the first one, but guess what? There's 4 more. We've never seen them, and I'm pretty sure you haven't either.
Yeah, have any of you guys seen any other ones besides the first one?
I had no idea there were sequels. I thought there was a television show.
There was a television show.
And that with John Cho?
With John Cho, yes.
A John Cho show.
That's all I need to know. Say
Yeah.
no mo. Say no.
It was
Cho.
it was an Exorcist
We got John
Cho.
It's based on a book,
I like it.
which is supposedly based on a real life event.
Which is supposedly based on another movie. It's very
Yes.
cyclical.
Which is based on a play. It was off Broadway. I don't know, not many people saw
Yeah,
it.
it actually goes back to Space Spear.
Yeah, I was going to say. Worf as Shakespeare.
I mean Shakespeare. Yeah, Worf is
Spear.
Shakespeare. Yeah.
Dwarf
Yeah,
sphere.
so that's exciting. We'll have some exciting guests for that series, and be prepared to be spooked out of your seats,
Yeah.
or out of your
Worf Beth.
wharf bed.
Worf Beth. Like Macbeth, but Worf Beth. Sorry.
Wharflet.
I know you cut this out of the Patreon episode, so I want to say it again. We know there's exercise, and so we also know there's jazzercise. So if there's an exorcist, then there must be a jazzercist, and that is
I
awesome.
don't think Colin knows how editing works. This is going to be really easy to cut it out again.
The jazzercist will live.
This, just tweet it, dude. Just
Yeah.
make it a tweet.
Jazzercist. Jazzercist forever.
Well, that's it. That's the show, guys. We've gone way longer than the movie, and that's a feat unto itself. So we should all be proud
It's been
and
exhausting.
scared.
Good us. Wait, go us.
Go us.
I think
We
it's
can't even
it's
say
time to
small
end.
2-word sentences anymore.
Second star to the right and straight on till morning.
No.
Oh, more literature.
That's what he
Yeah,
says in
he
the
should have said something from Shakespeare, though, not J.M. Barrie.
These
Didn't he get the
violent
theme of the
delights
movie?
Have violent ends.
Yeah. That would have been a much more ominous way to leave the series.
Chandler, thanks again for coming back, being our first returning guest.
Yay.
Thanks for
you're-
having me, guys.
Of course, and I'm sure
Thank
we'll have
you.
you back again soon.
Please do. I'll just hang on to this mic. No big deal.
So do you have anything going on? Anything you're working on or you're proud of, or just anything you want to talk about going
Or
on in your
not
life.
sad about. It doesn't have.
Yeah.
Don't set the bar too
God.
high.
You guys have really put me on the spot. If anything going on? No.
You don't have to. Most
I
of us
really have
don't.
nothing going on. I'm proud to say it. I do. You know what I will say? I do have a job, and I feel blessed to have a job and grateful to have a job. I will say this. Everybody go out and fucking vote. Register. The
This
time is
episode-
now.
This
Not to
episode
get too
airs on
Even if
political,
you're
November
not-
5th.
but
It
No,
does?
I'm kidding.
that shit sneaks up on you. Just make sure you're educated on everything.
Yeah. Even if you're not a U.S. citizen, if you're listening internationally, please vote
Vote.
in whatever country you have, if they have voting.
I mean, we'll get you some mail-in ballots.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I
Not
think
if
you
they're
could
not
just,
US
I think you could just
citizens.
print your own. I've heard that you can just print your own
It's
if you live in another
fine.
country. Just
Oh yeah, someone did say that.
I think
there's millions.
dogs are allowed to vote now, according to the president. I'm not sure. I've heard a lot of things. I'm not sure what's true, what isn't.
Did you notice
Only
he
adult
always has
dogs.
to say millions and millions? Like he has to say millions
Yeah.
twice every time he mentions it. Fucking
Millions
idiot.
and millions. He needs to go, people. He needs to go.
Normally, I would say it doesn't matter who you're voting for. Just get out there and represent yourself. This time, come on, it's like the end of the world. You know,
Yeah.
just let's
Yeah.
just not have 4 more years of this. We can do a little bit marginally better, I think.
Common sense.
Yeah.
Just a little. That's all I'm
You can vote for a
asking.
Republican the next time.
If they're sane,
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. But this person's fucking crazy.
Chandler,
Anyway.
you should know that Colin Harris and I talked for over an hour on Zoom after recording a podcast about politics, and we got deep and we got nasty, and
we
did not
record
it.
it, which I actually like after the fact. I had some mixed feelings about, but honestly, it's for the best. But yeah, it was a long.
At least you
very-
guys talked about it.
Yeah, it was cathartic.
That's good.
Yeah, it was good.
It was cathartic. Yeah.
Because we're all going crazy inside our houses. And you know what? Here's the thing. I would love to walk outside and not be worried I'm inhaling a disease. I would love to watch a movie and see 2 people make out and not be like, oh my God, oh,
They're touching mouths.
What the fuck? Or like that person touched another person's shoulder. Like you're going outside without a mask
Look
on?
how
It's
close
like,
they're all standing.
the verisimilitude is shifting and it's freaking me out.
Yeah.
So anyway.
This is why I've said it time and time again. The only movie you can watch during COVID is Mortal Kombat, because almost all the characters are wearing masks.
Yeah, and they only get close
Yes.
enough to punch each other, and then they immediately retreat.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it again. Shit, didn't think about that.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Did anybody have any closing remarks, or are we
I
good?
have nothing to add.
Star Trek, we came, we saw, we boldly came. That doesn't sound right.
We somehow made it through all the movies.
You did
Yeah.
good.
Yay!
All right, let's get our whaps out of here.
Yeah.
Oy vey.
Long live the Jazzercists.